Finally, The Rock has come back to the InVasion and has very briefly bumped up the ratings, but now everything's just back to where it was a moment ago.
And back to where it was, you actually mean back to where it was 4 months ago, as if the WCW part never happened.
It does weirdly feel that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like the invasion by August is Chris Canyon's here and Lance Storm's here.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, because DDP and Booker T are also here, but they were here kind of slightly before the invasion.
Yeah.
Because they were there at King of the Ring.
And all the ECW guys, apart from Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam is the only person who feels like a new, fresh thing here. All the other ECW guys were WWF guys for the last 18 months.
There's even a joke on one of the episodes of Raw leading up to August where Steve Austin looks at Tommy Dreamer and says, "You haven't even wrestled a match." And it's true. Dreamer has done nothing since coming in.
You little rascal. So this is the pay-per-view. This is what premium live events used to be called. This is the pay-per-view after the invasion.
Correct.
We get the invasion. Stone Cold's turned heel again.
Yep.
The Rock comes back. SummerSlam.
Yes, there are 4 weeks worth of TV. Then we're at SummerSlam. Welcome to WrestleTalk Extra, by the way. We are reviewing SummerSlam 2001 as part of our journey through 2001 and the invasion. If you want to check out the episode prior to this, where we reviewed The Rock's return to WWF Raw, that is over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk.
I would say that episode is the definitive episode where they gave up tonally.
I would also say, as a review, it's the episode where we have laughed the most because it's when Undertaker accidentally hits Sarah with a chair.
I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 again recently, and you know there's the bit when they're all doing the hero pose and a bit of debris strikes Mantis and it knocks her out, and then Drax goes, "Look out, Mantis!" It's that, but Undertaker hitting his own wife with a chair.
he goes for DDP. Wallop!
Look out, Sarah!
So yeah, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. But today we're going to be talking about SummerSlam 2001. And to your point, yes, we are 4 weeks removed from Invasion. And it really feels like this whole alliance storyline is done with, and this show is a SummerSlam they would have done if they hadn't purchased WCW.
Yeah, because I guess you've got Rock versus Booker T in the main event for the WCW title.
But that main event would have just been Rock versus someone in the main event because it's his first pay-per-view back.
Oh, who do you think?
I think if they'd not purchased WCW, it would have been Austin. They'd have done Rock and Austin for the title.
Let's imagine, though, Austin and Angle are the other match.
Oh, do you know what it would have been?
So who's Rock facing?
Well, okay, it's partly to give you an answer for this is you have to rewind the clock somewhat. I think it would have been Triple H. I think SummerSlam, the destination would have been Austin versus Triple H for the WWF Championship. That's what the two-man power trip was all built around. It's why Triple H beats Austin at No Way Out 1 month before Austin is main eventing WrestleMania. It's because Triple H was going to turn babyface, and it was going to be Triple H versus heel Austin as the main event of SummerSlam.
So you think The Rock versus
Angle, maybe?
Heel Angle?
Heel Angle, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
But then that pesky WCW full of mid-carders came in and scuppered all our plans.
And we've got nothing for Sean O'Hare, we've got nothing for Chuck Palumbo, nothing for Hugh Morris. Thankfully, something for Chris Kanyon.
Thankfully now, something for Sean Stasiak. Who is... Look, we've said it in the last couple of episodes. The way to get ahead in 2001 as a WCW guy entering the WWF is to act like a goofball.
Yeah.
Lance Storm's doing it. Chris Kanyon's doing it. That's the only way they'll respect you. If you acknowledge how bad you are for having once worked for WCW.
Do you think... sorry, because I completely agree with your point now. I just thought of something then, and I wanted to pose it as a question to you, because it's just hit me now. Do you think if they hadn't purchased WCW, they would have still done the brand split in the summer?
Ooh.
Because the plan was, if you're only joining us for this first episode and you haven't seen our entire coverage of this, which is available here on YouTube and over on Patreon, they were going to do the brand split in the summer of 2001. The idea being that WCW would get Monday night, WWF would get Smackdown on Thursday nights, go live, and one will be headed up by Austin, one will be headed up by The Rock, and we'll have, like, those will be our two top guys on either of those brands. And then the WCW experiment falls apart when they do the Tacoma show, so they scrap all of that, and they don't do the brand split until the following year. It's like May of 2002 or whatever they start doing it, sort of like early, like quarter 2 02. Do you think they would have done it here?
But that means that, so if they didn't purchase WCW at all? No, I think they... Because then you can have all the stars across all of the brands. Rock would have come back eventually. Triple H would have been back. I think they would have been holding on to that. Then that would have had diminishing returns. So then the following year, they're like, oh, okay, maybe we'll do a brand split.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe they would have just slowly injected WCW talent, because WCW would have closed, I imagine, in this hypothetical.
Yeah. But
they haven't picked up any of the contracted stars.
Yeah. So
then they just add in Goldberg, add in Nash, add in Hogan. Well, because by that point, when did he come in? 2003?
3.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, Hogan, Ric Flair's coming in later this year. Hogan's coming in at the start of next year. That's fine.
Yeah.
The way that version somewhat works more than this version is because you haven't done the cum shot right away with the invasion.
That's true.
Everyone's already spent.
Yeah, that is very true. I think the only reason I'm thinking about this, I've been listening to 83 Weeks, the Bischoff episode.
What a podcast!
What a podcast it is. It is quite an experience to listen to that show, and the self-high-fiving, one might say, about how much they really do think it's a great podcast, and constantly tell you, oh, we're such a good podcast, and our audience is super smart because they listen to this podcast. Very self-aggrandizing as a podcast. But
unlike this podcast, where we think you're morons.
It was the episode where they talked about the Fusion Media deal falling through and what could have been the Big Bang show. So I'm kind of sort of like playing with this idea of alternate timelines in my head where Jamie Kellner does not cancel Nitro and Thunder and Fusion Media does buy WCW, and they are continuing as a separate entity in 01. What WWF might have done in its place.
Probably the same, and slowly stolen all their top stars. I don't think the Fusion Media version works either.
Okay.
Well, because Bischoff is in charge. We've seen he'd already left and come back, and it didn't work.
It's very true. I think that he talks a big game about sort of like, I'm going to build it around Goldberg and Sting, but I think very soon a certain brother is going to come back and be like, brother, I think I should be the top guy, dude.
I mean, yeah, we can blame Hogan, but we could also just blame Bischoff. Look, it's not like he hasn't had opportunities to do it well beforehand.
I'm agreeing with you because I think that Bischoff is there be like, I'm going to build this whole promotion around Goldberg and Sting. I think Hogan's going to be like, well, it should be me, brother. And Bischoff will go, I agree, Hulkster. It should be you. Bound, down, and away he goes with his big gold belt once again.
And he's not wrong. As me and your Monday Night War will tell you.
Yeah.
If Hogan, we get emails from Hogan all the time. He's very persuasive.
Very persuasive. Do you know what my favourite bit about that episode I was listening to? We're going on a bit of a tangent here, quite early doors. Bischoff, his whole deal is, Dave Meltzer's wrong. Everything that Dave Meltzer reports is wrong and it's made up, and he's just spreading things because he doesn't actually have any insider sources apart from Terry Taylor. And he just, nothing he says is correct. And if you read The Death of WCW, nothing in that book is correct whatsoever. And there's a bit in the episode when he's talking about the report from Dave and a few others that Turner wanted to maintain a minority stake in this Fusion Media WCW because that way they can keep Nitro and Thunder on TNT and TBS. And they wanted to keep that show on. And I suppose the question that sort of posed is, but why would they want that show when the ratings have been tanking year on year? And Bischoff in the episode says, like, well, a lot of people who pretend to know a lot about the situation but actually don't have a clue, what they don't understand is, and what he means by that is Dave and Brian, what they don't understand is that while those ratings were down, they were still better than a lot of other shows that TNT and TBS were doing. They were still strong ratings. Even when they were at their lowest, they were still strong ratings for that network. What Bischoff doesn't realise is that Dave was writing that at the time. If you read those 2001 Observers, Dave was writing that in the Observer.
Yeah.
And if you read The Death of WCW, Brian Alvarez explains that in the book as well.
Well, that's your first mistake. That would imply that Bischoff has read more than the headline thing given to him. Or actually, because I do believe Bischoff is smarter than that and more nefarious in a way. He has read that, but that doesn't suit his version. So he just claims or acts a bit sort of naive in that Meltzer is misreporting things and just cherry-picking that one line out of context. I mean, just the whole thing of denying everything blanket is very Trumpian, and Trump learnt that a lot from pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's a bit of the Pritchard model, I suppose, on Something to Wrestle, which is if Conrad Thompson reads 5 reports from one paragraph, and it's like, wait, let's break this down. Well, let's talk about this. Pritchard will then say, this is right, this is right, this is right, this is right, that's wrong. Therefore, 100% of what Dave reports is wrong.
And that's maths.
Anyway, we're here to talk about, let's get back on track.
SummerSlam.
Let's get back on
Let
track.
the bodies hit the
floor. We'll be hearing that song for much longer on WWF programming.
Why?
September 11th.
Oh, no. Oh, I forgot.
It's coming up quite soon in our timeline.
So this is August 19th this show takes place. So yeah, we are 3 weeks out from the events of 9/11.
Yeah. So how did we get to SummerSlam 2001? We're going to break down some of the big events that have happened on TV, because there have been some pretty big events, and we're going to talk about some of the goings-on in the year 2001 as it pertains to all of professional wrestling. But on the 2nd of August edition of SummerSlam, Booker T came out to challenge The Rock to a match at SummerSlam in a promo segment that made Sting decide not to join the WWF until 2014.
And this was the Smackdown after Rock made his decision on the Monday Night Raw.
Correct, yes.
Which is the episode you can go and watch us review right now on patreon.com/WrestleTalk.
So let's have a little look at that segment.
Okay.
So this is...
Actually, let's play it and I'll give you my childhood experience, because I remember this so distinctly.
Just walk back in here and challenge Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, hell no. You're not in the man's league. More importantly, you're not in my league. In fact, you look out and walk down there right now and kick your pretty ass up.
Rock puts the hand up to stop him talking. If you're listening to it on podcast, well, Rock is in the ring, Booker T is up on the stage.
And The Rock just had to do a gesture back then to get everyone chanting for him.
Who in the blue hell are you?
It's a great line. It's a great line. Unfortunately, it somewhat is the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. So, and then the rest of that segment is, what's your name?
I'm Booker T.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I don't care if you Booker A, Booker B, Booker's... It's good stuff. It's good content.
It's good Rock content.
So this is really similar to Jericho's debut. I've always thought, Jericho got the big build-up segments and the countdown clock, and everyone knows it's him, and he arrives, and it's to interrupt the segment with The Rock. And The Rock's, Jericho comes out and he does his stuff, and The Rock negs him. What can you remember what exactly he says?
Jericho does welcome to Raw is Jericho, and you get the whole who the hell
who the hell are you?
Yeah, who in the blue hell are you?
Now, for some reason, I watched that as a kid. That happened, well, maybe not on Raw, but on the SmackDown repeat of it, like when they do a recap. And I didn't think, oh, Jericho is lame. I thought, oh, cool, Jericho. They did this build-up thing, and now he's here, and the Rock is telling him off, and great, there's going to be a Rock Jericho. I'm just enjoying all the characters.
Yeah.
2 years later, they do a similar thing with Booker T. Booker T comes out. Rock does his. Who in the blue hell are you? And up until this point, 13-year-old Ollie has been very, very into the invasion. Even though we can look back all these years later and go, that was a pile of dog shit. 13-year-old Ollie did not know any better. He just thought, WCW, WWF, ECW. I wasn't really watching WCW and ECW. I didn't know we were missing Bill Goldberg, really.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh my God, this is the biggest crossover thing. It's like if DC started attacking Marvel, but it's just Booster Gold. I didn't know the order, didn't know the hierarchy. So Booker T at this point is...
I don't want to stop you there. I think if you booked DC versus Marvel, you would base it around Booster Gold.
Oh yeah, I would. Yeah, because it's the only way to do it. There'll be some time travel mechanism to it, and he's just trying to hold it all together, man. But 13-year-old Ollie wouldn't, because 13-year-old Ollie had no clue who Booster Gold was. No. So here we've had, let's say, 2 months, isn't it? Because King of the Ring Booker T turns up.
Yes.
And is sort of running roughshod over WWE. Kind of.
It was not that long ago. It feels like it's a long time ago because of how much we've reviewed, but it really was not that. It was like 8 weeks ago Booker T debuted.
So Booker T's there. He is the World Heavyweight Champion most of the time.
But that 3-day period where he lost it.
And he is invariably portrayed as the brand's top star.
Yes, he is their champion. Apart from the fact that, the Alliance also has Austin, so really he's now their top champion. But as WCW as a brand, Booker T is the top champion.
So I'm like, okay, I'm here for this guy. But to my brain, as 13 years old, I did used to watch him on Thunder and stuff. Here he is on WWF. He's like an upper mid-carder. I'm very much here for his ascent, I feel. And I want him to go into the main event scene. And I can, even as a kid, they're pushing him to that level. Mm-hmm. They're going to build him up. Just like I've seen Kurt Angle a year or two before go from European champion, and I followed his rise to the top of the company. Yeah. That was one of the most satisfying things about being a fan in the Attitude Era. You could get a favorite, and sometimes that favourite would go from the bottom of the card really quite quickly up to the very top of the company.
We're currently seeing it with Edge in 2001.
Exactly. Something you don't so much get these days. That is more of a 10-year process as opposed to 1 year.
Starting Evolve, spent a couple of years there, go to NXT, spent a couple of years there. Actually, maybe go to LFG first, do a season there, go to Evolve, go to NXT. We're talking about Rain Leverkusen, who's like, a really popular British star who's signed with NXT now. And some friends of mine are just like, oh man, I can't wait to see her debut. And I was like, yeah, you will do it like 5 years' time. Yeah. Because I think she'll go to Evolve first before she even gets to NXT.
Shawn Michaels and Paul Levesque, they're cooking. But they're cooking, I don't know, 48-day age steak?
Low and slow. Like a good casserole in a slow cooker that you put on in the morning so it's ready for when you get home after work. That's what they're currently doing.
But sometimes they forget about it and all the food goes off. Anyway, so this is the Booker T. So before this promo, 13-year-old Ollie is here for Booker T's ascent. He's a new guy. He's been steadily rising. I knew him anyway from Thunder. There was some familiarity there. And here he goes up against The Rock. And I know it's coming. I can, and The Rock's my favorite. I'm so glad he's back. The Rock's in the ring. As soon as he says, "Who in the blue hell are you?" I remember laughing because it's very funny, but at the same time, becoming a man. That was me going from the age of innocence into the age of experience.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any coincidence that it happened from the age of 12 to 13. That is when you oh, I'm a teenager now. I'm in the next stage of my life. Santa Claus, maybe isn't as believable. I mean, I figured that out a bit sooner. Yeah. But, that's the start. It's like the start of your early years when maybe it becomes a bit more difficult to play with toys. Mm-hmm. The sort of sense of play isn't so much there anymore because you're drinking. Yeah. You're drinking hard liquor and doing meth.
Yeah, of course.
That's 13 years old. That's what happens. Yeah. So it sounds really over the top, but that promo line to me is Eve taking a bite out of the apple. It is the crushing knowledge of disappointment.
Yeah. And to your argument of why is this one different to the Jericho one? I think there's two things in there. Number one, we are in the middle of an invasion. And number two, he is supposed to be a top champion.
Yes.
And the old adage of wrestling is you are supposed to make your opponents look better so that when you beat them, you've beaten a somebody. Rather than just pretending like they're a joke, because then if you beat them, what did you gain from this? Great example, I use this all the time. Go watch the promo package for Royal Rumble 2000. It is Cactus Jack talking about how awesome Triple H is. And it is Triple H talking about how awesome Cactus Jack is, and how dangerous Cactus Jack is in this environment. And that match, when Triple H then beats Cactus Jack, is the match that elevated Triple H. And they spent so much of 99 trying to make Triple H a top guy and failing constantly. That one match makes him a top guy. And that's a lot of the promo work that they did leading up to it. And The Rock's whole shtick is, who in the blue hell are you? It's one of his catchphrases. It doesn't matter what your name is one of The Rock's catchphrases. But when you do it against a top champion who's coming in and you're trying to make them feel like they're a big deal, it does make them feel lesser than. And what it tells you, in this one promo segment, everything you need to know about how Vince McMahon and the creative team feel about Booker T and WCW as a whole. You are lesser than. The start of this segment, we've jumped ahead to the midpoint here, is Rock challenging Austin. It's not challenging Booker T, not being like, I've come back here, and the way to save this invasion because we've lost Austin is to win the WCW championship. I'm going to take it from them. No, he wants to face Austin. And Booker T comes down and be like, oh, you could face me instead. And Rock's like, well, who are you?
It's not good booking.
It's not.
And you're totally right. It's not just Booker T that this undermines, which it really does. Like, Booker T in my head has never recovered. And he could have been. I actually don't think he was ever good enough to be a main eventer at the sort of Angle, Rock, Austin level. I think the main event of SummerSlam shows that as well.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the work of Austin and Angle.
It's such a better match.
But it also, what Rock does is just tank WCW as if it isn't already, and the invasion. Because that says to me, he's been gone for the last couple of months. He's been filming stuff in Hollywood. Because I knew that as a 13-year-old. I knew where he was.
Yeah.
They made a big deal of it on WWF. I was a big Mummy fan. I couldn't wait to see the Mummy too. He hasn't been watching. Who in the blue hell? Booker T's been on this program for 2 months.
Yeah.
He's the WCW champion. Who in the blue hell are you? Oh, so by the way, all that stuff that WWF have said, that they were under threat, their very existence, the seriousness of the invasion build, Rock wasn't really watching. He had better things to do. So why should I care? This whole segment, even as a 13-year-old, sort of turned me against The Rock a bit. I was like, this guy's not taking it seriously.
Yeah. And talking about people who turn this off, Sting was not a fan of this. Sting would do an interview. I think it's for a TNA DVD. Though, this is quite a popular clip. Here's what Sting had to say about this. Bear in mind, we've just watched this segment together. Here's how Sting recalls it. I talked with Vince McMahon. He was really good to me, but I just got this feeling. Put it this way. All the guys from WCW that went to WWE when the acquisition happened, by then, there wasn't a real WCW because for so many years, WCW was Hall and Nash. It was Hogan, it was Savage, it was Sting, it was Luger, it was the Steiner brothers. A certain package of guys that were gone, and, the package that had been left had dwindled down to a small group of guys who really, great wrestlers, phenomenal talent, but they weren't with WCW for all these years. And, mainstay kind of names and all that. Then I was watching what he was doing, storyline-wise, and he'd have WCW against WWF and that hostile takeover. The whole deal there. I'll never forget Booker T making his first appearance on their show, and he came to the ring, and he's making this big, huge fight, and guys are flying all over the place. Then The Rock comes into the ring, and The Rock is hitting guys, and they're flying all over the place. They come back to back, and he turns around, they look at each other, and The Rock looks at Booker T, and he says, "Who are you?" That one little comment is all it took to just bury someone, in my opinion, bury somebody like Booker T.
Well, that's exactly how I remember it playing out.
The mad thing is, years later, JBL on a WWE produced thing for the network, when Sting does go to WWE, would interview him, talk about that statement, and agree with him that's how it went down. And I'm like, you're on the network. I can go back and literally find the episode and find out That's not what happened. Fact check each other.
Yeah, fact check each other. Maybe some producers in the room go, oh, actually, that's not what... Look, here it is. Let's watch the clip. It's very important. You can describe it verbally because we're going to use it as B-roll. We're going to use it as B-roll over the top of this interview, and you are describing 3 different segments.
Yeah, you have misremembered it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because wrestlers misremember things all the time, whereas podcasters misremember things. It is okay to misremember things, but if someone then shows you what actually happened, you'll be like, "Oh man, I actually misremembered that. I thought it was different." My emphasis is still the same, though. I still think this segment does bury Booker T, but you can just address it that way, as opposed to, oh man, I remember it as clear as day. I'll never forget Booker T was in the ring beating up 20 guys. Guys are flying over. The Rock comes out. He's beating up 20 guys, and then they come back to back. I'm here watching it now.
Yeah. There are 100,000 people in the arena. But it's very easy for us to say this now when we have access to YouTube and we can watch really the whole of human pop culture history with a few clicks. Even when that interview was done in the early 2010s. It's not the case. So Sting would have only seen that once. He would have seen it on TV, and it would have been 10 years before he said that.
Yeah.
So that's what human memory does.
Misremembering.
Yeah.
But my point is, when you did the JBL one on the network,
oh yes,
you had a lot of access to the archival footage there that you could have said, "Oh, let's watch this segment together and talk about your memories of this moment."
Ah, Maggle.
So on the following week's Raw,
so Sting was in conversations at this time to come in.
The way he talks about it was just like, I always talked with Vince McMahon. It wasn't about coming in. It was just like, I had conversation with Vince. He was very good to me.
Because we're in August, late August. 3 months' time is when Flair comes in. I wonder if end of SummerSlam, the invasion thing, we didn't have the top stars. But hey, at the end of SummerSlam, Rock's going to win the title from Booker T. Booker T's not a star. We don't really see him as such. Lights cut out. Come back up. There's Sting with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
There's your next big title feud. Rock versus Sting.
Great stuff. Amazing.
And then maybe Sting would have been treated more specially because he's kind of separate from... That Vince has kind of gotten the WCW hate out of his system a bit.
Are you mad? Do you see what they did with Scott Steiner when he came in?
Or
Goldberg?
But I do think it's person dependent. Like, he treated Flair really well. He treated Hogan very well.
Yeah.
Granted, those are people who had wrestled for him previously.
And he made Hogan.
But Flair, he didn't make Flair, but he's always had this respect for Flair. Sting is a Flair boy. Mm-hmm. I think there's an argument to say that Sting would have been treated differently because Vince actually sometimes weirdly just decides, I respect you.
And you've got a lot of evidence for that because when he comes into the WWF years later, he loses both of the matches that he has on pay-per-view.
But that was poetically justified. Take your point.
So on the following week's Raw, on August 6th, we're talking about how this doesn't make Booker T look particularly good. Do you know what will make him look really good? A series of backstage skits where he's trying to audition for Hollywood roles and everyone is making fun of him and he's made to look like an absolute clown and a joke. It is a series of skits that is just so clearly filmed in the building that they're in where he is auditioning for quote-unquote Hollywood roles and no one knows who he is.
And the week before when Rock made his decision was the episode where Booker T's doing comedy eating Deborah's bad biscuits.
Correct, yes.
The WWE do not see Booker T as a legit, credible main event.
No, 100%. They can lie to you now and say that we've always treated Booker T with respect, but the reality of that is they're only saying that because he got Worst Commentator of the Year in the Observer Awards, and now they're doing Booker T Appreciation Night.
Booker T, right now, in the month before SummerSlam, is the comedy foil for The Rock to beat.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's all he is.
It's just for The Rock to come back and beat someone on his first... The selling point is not Rock going for the WCW title. It is Rock is on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's the selling point here.
And he's going to end the pay-per-view as WCW champion.
Just end the pay-per-view as the winner.
Yeah.
It does like the WCW Championship is not a factor. It's BAM non-factor.
BAM non-factor.
It is the Deborah of this storyline.
We've also got the actual match when we get to it. It's not Rock versus Booker T because no one could believe that. Booker T has not been built up credibly enough. It's The Rock versus Booker T and Shane McMahon.
Yeah. which will be a match, I think, at the next pay-per-view as well. I think they have a handicap match. On the August 16th episode, the August 6th episode, there's also this segment here that I just wanted to show you. Because Jericho's got an in-ring segment with Stephanie McMahon. And, you know...
Do they have sex?
You know what WWF has always been really good at? Promotion and brand integration.
It's seamless.
They are always very seamless at it. And I think this is one of the best examples here. Not an often talked about one either.
I think you've been with every single human being in both companies. As a matter of fact, you might have been with every single human being on the planet Earth. So that's why
being promiscuous is okay now.
My way to try and set you up with a species from another planet. What? I'm going to try and set you up with members of the planet of the apes. Planet of the apes?
Oh no, is this an advert for Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes? Oh my god. I thought this was going to be a promo for InVasion. What about this makes you want to see Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes?
And then Stephanie gets cake in her face.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
I miss it. I didn't think I would, but I do miss this sort of stuff.
Do you think this one's better or worse than the 18 one?
Oh, the 18 one actually builds quite nicely. It's got a really good payoff.
True, it does.
So the 18 one is on the better end of the brand integration things. And this isn't as bad as Miz Priest zombie match.
Yeah, that's very true, yeah.
That's the worst one I can think of. Yeah.
Anyway. Also on this episode, Tajiri beats X-Pac to win the light heavyweight championship.
Okay, what is the situation with the light heavyweight cruiserweight titles?
So on the episode of Raw that we watched,
X-Pac
merged those belts. He unified those belts together.
Beat Kidman.
Yeah, he beat Kidman and he unified those belts. And then on this episode, Tajiri beat X-Pac to win the light heavyweight title.
Just one of the belts?
Just one of the belts.
Oh, man.
He is still the cruiserweight champion, which is fine, because he'll have a match on this show to unify the belts.
Yeah.
I just think they forgot they did it.
Yeah.
And in the main event, The Rock beats Shane McMahon. That's his first match back. It's his first match on TV. Popper rating. He beat Shane McMahon in the main event. On the August 9th episode of Smackdown, DDP and Kanyon beat the APA to win the WWF Tag Team titles when Test turns heel and he helps the baddies win.
Which I think is totally justified.
It is. I will also add, if you watch that match, like, he really won the match for them. The APA won that match twice, and then Test wins it for DDP and Kanyon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they do the promo on this episode, on this pay-per-view, where it's like, because, and we watched it, they kicked the crap out of Test because they thought he was the mole.
Yeah, and he wasn't the mole. So Test is like, what, that's loyalty? You talk to me about loyalty? They beat the crap out of me for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
So I'm joining the alliance. I'm like, it's actually quite a reasonable thing, a reaction to having the crap kicked out of you.
I would absolutely agree. Also on this episode, the Brothers of Destruction beat Palumbo and O'Haire to win the WCW Tag Team titles. Really super easily.
Yeah.
Super easily they beat them.
I can't wait to get to the worst match question of SummerSlam, because I think it might be Brothers of Destruction related.
I think you might be on
that. Is so cack.
This episode is quite iconic.
Oh yes, here we go.
This is a newsworthy episode of SmackDown for this spot in particular. It's with Rhino and Jericho.
This. Oh, it's
Rhino's
blew my
got
mind
Jericho
watching
set
it.
up. And he gores him through the SmackDown set.
It changed the way I would play WWE video games for the rest of my life. I'm always trying to gore someone through something now.
The following week, They debut the brand new sets, the brand new logo with the fists. So the Smackdown fist debuts.
Fist my bump.
We get the new Smackdown logo and its new theme song of The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson. This is the end of first run Smackdown, and it's because Rhino gores Jericho through the sets.
Yeah. I still, when I think of Smackdown, I think of that OG set. I don't think of the fist. But music-wise, I think of Beautiful People.
Yeah. No. I only think of that because it's on the game. The beautiful people. So Dave would write in The Observer at this time, talking about the success of the InVasion pay-per-view. How long will this last is anyone's guess. It came back so quickly after falling so fast. The comeback seems to have resulted in long-term plans going back to where they were just a few weeks ago before the crowd reaction into Coma and whatever else caused the original plans to split promotions and make Raw and SmackDown show on the 6th of August to be thrown out. I think more than cyclical variations, if you look back at wrestling over the past 20 years, you'll see ultimately when the product gets stale, things go down. When the product is freshened up with new characters in an environment, they're allowed to climb the ladder, things go up. The only thing different about today is that both directions accelerate so ridiculously fast. Where we are this week is ratings of Raw, while dropping slightly as expected, Rock can only have one first week back, have shown great improvement since the introduction of WCW and later ECW. SmackDown has finally shown improvement, although only in the past 2 weeks. Heat is up from bottoming out a few weeks ago, but still at a level that would only be considered a disgrace 1 year ago. The last pay-per-view was an incredible success. The next one should do well.
Which is SummerSlam. Which I don't know the buy rates for.
Do you want to go over it now, or do you want to save it for later?
Let's tease that out, because I think, you can tell me later.
Dave writes here, there is a tremendous opportunity right now to build a foundation for the future. It'll be a damn shame if history isn't learned from, and it doesn't happen.
Hard cut. We didn't learn from history. It happened.
Now, you might remember that when they first bought WCW, there was a plan for WCW to have a show on Saturday night. Hard on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So, they still have that time slot, which means they are going to launch a brand new WWF show. The working idea for the new Saturday night show seems to have the name WWF Attitude. The new Saturday night TV show will have a magazine format. They actually don't have all the ideas down yet, but a working idea seems to be to use the show to do personality profiles to get new talent over. The show will most likely have a new broadcast team, although that's not decided yet. They like the idea of a 2-hour Saturday night show to really hit the issues of the pay-per-view the following day.
Okay, so it would only be once a month, or this is a
weekly show. Weekly
show, but ahead of a pay-per-view, it would be even more pertinent. But you've still got Heat.
Yes, so you'd have 2 shows. So you'd have Saturday nights, whatever the show's going to be called. I think it gets a brand new name by the time they actually air it. But WWF Attitude on Saturday night, and then Heat on Sunday to also promote the pay-per-views.
It's quite a human impulse to, if you see things declining or see things increasing, your impulse is to do more either way. Like, we should do more. I don't think at this time WWF needs more programming to fill.
Yeah.
I think they need to really concentrate on making what they're putting out better.
Agreed. The sorting out of the ECW bankruptcy is on hold until the 12th of October, at which point a decision will be made on Amadeus Inc.'s attempts to foreclose on the company and thus gain rights to its assets and intellectual property.
Amadeus.
Paul Heyman provided some records and books over the past week and appeared on the 2nd of August to answer questions from both his creditors and trustee in regards to the ECW bankruptcy. The main interaction regarded Amadeus, which is claiming secured creditorship and trying to foreclose, a position the trustee, Barbara Balabar Strauss, Heyman, and WWFE all contested. The position stated by both Heyman and WWFE, which are basically the same position at this point, is that Amadeus Inc. was not a secured creditor of ECW, but a partial owner, and the money that they sent wasn't loans as much as knowing ECW was in terrible financial condition. They were funding the company because their video game license with the company would be worth nothing if the company were to go out of business.
Okay. I mean, I could see that argument. I think it's disingenuous, maybe. I was going to ask about this. Mm-hmm. Because right from the start of the show, on the stage, they've got one Titantron screen that is always showing WCW, and then it will flicker very briefly to show ECW.
Yeah.
So they're still using the ECW branding
Yes,
at their live events.
Which they're not allowed to. I think it was at the end of July they had to stop doing. Because they have got this deal.
This is August 19th.
I know. So they've got this deal with Barbara Balber-Strauss,
Uh-huh.
who is the trustee of the bankrupt ECW, to have an arrangement with them to be able to use it. Because the story so far is Heyman sort of insinuated he had more ownership of it. Turns out he didn't. And now they've been given you're allowed to do this. But they've now rebranded WCW and ECW to the Alliance to get around this issue.
Mm-hmm.
What I think they're doing is the same thing they did with the World Wildlife Fund, who said to them, you can continue to call yourself World Wrestling Federation, you just cannot call yourself WWF. And they just kept calling themselves WWF until the World Wildlife Fund said, we asked you not to do it.
Yeah.
Fine, we will sue you and make you change your name to stop calling yourself WWF.
Because they put up the URL at one point in the pay-per-view, and it was WWF.com. And I thought, I wonder if that directs to the Panda place now. It just doesn't direct anywhere.
Huh.
Let me try. Yeah, WWF.com goes to... Yeah, you can buy it. Why don't... I guess the World Wildlife Fund just have worldwildlifefund.com.
Or
Do
.uk.
you want to guess how much it'll cost?
Ooh. I actually have no idea how much your domain name is these days. I haven't bought a domain name since like 2010.
Yeah.
How much is it?
From GoDaddy, it's $331,000.
Whoa! That is a big investment.
Mm.
Could almost buy WCW for that. So that episode of Raw, the one we just saw clips from then, dipped to a 5.40 rating and an 8.8 share for approximately 7 million total viewers. It was the first week of football competition, with ABC doing the NFL Hall of Fame preseason game, doing a 6.3 rating. Raw's numbers have often peaked in August, so football competition doesn't really have an effect until the regular season starts.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock vs. Shane main event did a 6.25 overrun and a 5.89 final quarter. It was the second best mark since the 9th of April, trailing last week. It also ended 5 consecutive weeks of growth, but that was to be expected because Rock can only come back for the first time once.
Yeah. But first match, you'd also think that would be a big deal.
Dave wrote in the previous week's Observer that he thinks the first, because that had obviously a big rating, he said, the first thing to go will be teenagers. And he writes here, in particular, the audience lost was teenagers. While still above the average for the show, the big boost Rock's return gave filtered away quickest in this group. The overall rating drops were 4.9, but the drop in teenage boys was 15%, while the girls was 3.7 to 3.4. Interesting that 18 to 12 males grew from the previous week, and 18 to 24 women were up 20%.
Okay.
So, do you remember the story from the last episode about main event championship wrestling?
Which of the various promotions was this?
This is the one that there's a money mark for being done with the Sandman.
Yes, and they were paying for limos,
but not wrestlers.
but not for wrestlers.
There seems to be the on-paper claimed plans for John Collins and Main Event Championship Wrestling, which a lot of people have already making the comparisons with the late Herb Abrams.
Ooh.
At first,
Do you just want to say who Herb Abrams is very quickly?
Please go ahead.
What's the promotion he had?
The
US
UWF?
UWF.
Herb Abrams and the UWF.
Yeah. There's a great Vice Dark Side of the Ring episode on it. But yeah, he was a wrestling promoter, not very reliable, and just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah.
Allegedly quite a few drugs.
Mm-hmm. At first, they were going to run 2 territories. An East Coast territory headed by Sandman and a Midwest/South territory headed by Tracy Smothers. Collins has said he has contracts with Sandman, Kurt Hennig, and Public Enemy. Their first major show is on the 11th of August in Philadelphia at the ECW Arena. They never announced a lineup, did no advertising other than putting up flyers near Philadelphia, and didn't even put tickets on sale.
What?
The idea was to sell tickets at the door for $20. And apparently, they thought simply through internet buzz they would draw. But 4 days before the show, apparently scared a turnout of 200 to 300 fans they were going to tape for television. They announced the show will now be free. The idea was they would encourage people to spend $20 for the next show. While matches were announced before this card, it was all changed and nothing is announced except for Kurt Hennig to buff Bagwell, who apparently blew his WWF severance package of 3 months' salary by appearing for this group.
What?
So
Buff?
Yeah, so Buff was apparently had a severance package and he blew it. Dave has a correction in the following news observer. The story listed here last week regarding Bagwell having his severance package dropped for working for MECW is incorrect. Bagwell can work indies and is getting the remaining $50,000 on his 3-month severance after being let go. The only way his severance would be affected is if he signs a contract with the new promotion before the 3 months is up, and he hasn't done that.
Yet.
Also under contract. Also appearing on the show, Francine, Dawn Marie, Sandman, Sabu, Fonzie, FBI, Public Enemy, Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda, and Danny Doring. There are already problems, as Joey Styles publicly talked about being an announcer and has said he never agreed to anything with the group and it isn't with them. Terry Taylor's situation is iffy after Collins missed a scheduled meeting with him where they were going to make a deal, and Hennig is really frustrated on a lot of levels, both with Taylor saying nobody should get a guaranteed contract, as well as them flying him to Kingport, Tennessee to work a Southern States wrestling show so that he could do an invasion angle that nobody but a few hundred local fans would see.
But the internet buzz.
Hennig is really pushing for more control and wants to bring in Bobby Heenan as an announcer. Next shows are set to be for the 20th to 23rd of September in Danbury, Binghamton, Philadelphia, Binghamton and Salisbury, and they have a Canadian tour in November. Some new names mentioned this week include New Jack, Chris Harris, Spanky, Prince Justice. There's a tremendous amount of skepticism to this venture, as mentioned last week, not only because Collins himself has admitted a past prison record, and that people have claimed that there have been signed, haven't been signed, and many even haven't been contacted. Plus, there are denials of talked about television deals, none of which are substantial enough to build something at this level to begin with.
So this isn't just a main event championship wrestling kind of story. This is every new wrestling promotion for 30 years, right?
Until the launch of AEW.
Yeah. So you can see when AEW was launching, people like Punk was like, talk to me in a couple of years, because I've heard 50 other versions of this and they all crash and burn.
Speaking of new promotions, Matt Rats is changing its name to Next Generation Wrestling, although everyone involved in the project still calls it Matt Rats. If anything is to happen with Hogan and Universal, and it's not a done deal, it won't happen until Hogan settles his lawsuit against Time Warner and Vince Russo, and those things can drag on. Jim Ross met with that absolute dickhead Rey Mysterio.
Oh, God, he's the worst Rey Mysterio.
And I believe Juventud Guerrera before SmackDown in Los Angeles.
The juice!
They contacted Mysterio Jr., which means he'll likely be offered a deal after his Time Warner contract expires. Nobody denies Guerrera's talent, but the drug issues from Australia may still be a roadblock, combined with the fact that WWF isn't really looking to hire new people as a general rule. So Juventud Guerrera in the Australian tour in WCW had this huge drug binge and lost his mind mad, like naked, shouting at people in the hotel lobby levels of mad. He took something that did something to him that made him lose his mind, and that's what got him fired from WCW.
Yeah, and that's quite a big feat to get fired from WCW for bad behavior.
You might also remember we've talked about we've got Reno and Mike Sanders under contract. We've not done anything yet. Well, they debuted in Anaheim in a dark match with Sanders playing a heel. No crowd reaction, but each did good moves. Reno went over. According to the Ross report, the jury is still out on Rob Van Dam. And perhaps...
How? He had the best match at Invasion.
He's got the best match
He's got the best match here.
Perhaps widening because he's getting over so strong, yet made worse by the fact that Test needed 7 stitches hard way from a kick into a chair in the corner of their San Diego match.
Okay, well, I could see that. Rob Van Dam wrestles a very different style to what WWF are used to. That's why it's so exciting to watch. And poor old Test, he's... You've got to break a few tests, right, to make a new wrestling omelette.
Sometimes you have to break a few tests, but that's always been the thing with Rob, is that, he's super over, but some people think that he can be a little bit stiff-ski in the ring.
Which, wrestling isn't meant to hurt more than it should. Exactly. And if you're, at this time, you are working, I don't want to say more professionally, because that's, I think everyone's very professional now as well. But these days... wrestlers are a lot more comfortable with laying it in and actually hitting people. That wasn't the case back then, unless you're The Undertaker and you're trying to teach someone a lesson.
Yeah, if you're at the APA, it's fine if you do it to other people, but if other people do it to you...
they don't know how to work.
They don't know how to work.
Yeah.
Let's just restrict them to only punches and kicks.
Well, it's because the APA and The Undertaker, they're doing it for a purpose. They're beating people up because those people deserve it.
That's absolutely right. Let's talk quickly about the August 13th episode of Monday Night Raw, because there's been a lot of iconic things that have happened. We just talked about the destruction of the Smackdown set, the brand new, the Smackdown Fist, which people absolutely adore. That is debuting here in 2001.
This is the go-home show for SummerSlam.
Austin has now got himself a brand new gimmick. He's an inspirational speaker. He is here to make the alliance better. And by doing that, he's going to lead by example. So he's here to inspire the WCW talent. And he holds a town hall meeting with the rest of the alliance stars who come out to Drowning Pool's bodies. And he gets RVD a match with Kurt Angle. That's going to be that's going to be the main event of this show. He puts over DDP and Canyon, winning the tag team champions. He puts over Test, being the newest member of the alliance. He puts over Rhino, goring Y2J. You would love this segment. We won't watch the clips for now, but you will love this segment because he just keeps calling people bastards.
You bastard.
So like he says, like, get up here, you big bastard. Look at you, you big bastard.
I mean, I would love that, definitely. I do want it on record that I think Austin should be a serious heel now.
Yes. He's got a clipboard. That's his thing now. He's got a clipboard and he goes around, he's making notes of how the alliance is getting on.
Not the direction the company should be going.
Yeah.
I think, sure, have goofy comedy. Sean Stasiak running into walls. I like that because The Rock seems cool. But The Rock doing the who the hell are you, Booker T, the Austin, Deborah, biscuits, the clipboard. Well, that was a really good build to InVasion. But the moment Austin is like, have the old Stone Cold back and you get the whole story in the bar and he makes that awesome return as the old Stone Cold, that's when he's serious. Turns heel, still serious.
Yeah. Well, in this segment here, we get the debut of something.
Oh, no.
Wipe that look off your face.
So he's called in Hugh Morris, Raven, and Taz because they have lost their
Who whipped
matches.
your ass last Thursday? I was in I didn't ask you to explain something. I said, who whipped your ass last Thursday?
Thursday.
Y2J. That's right. Y2J. Exactly. Look at you. Y2J. Look at you. You're 275 pounds. Your name is Hugh Morris. What? Your name is Hugh Morris.
Is that the first one?
That is the debut. What? Which will then become his big catchphrase for the next few months and is plaguing wrestling to this day. That is the first what.
Is this the worst thing from the InVasion? I didn't know it. I thought it happened the following year, the what stuff.
No, it's this year. This will become his Vince. It's not big now in this moment here. When he does it on SmackDown, he does a bit more what. It's going to become Vince McMahon's new favorite thing, and it will become his entire personality.
Oh no! So by the end of this series, we'll have the whole crowd chanting what?
What during promos? He'll have a T-shirt that says "what" with the question mark on it.
No way.
Yeah.
I really thought that was the following year. I thought he was a babyface when he started that.
No, it's a heel thing. But yeah, that is the debut of what.
And it was just, and does he say what in the rest of this segment?
He does it a couple more times, but what?
It was so subtle. It was within a line.
It's just cadence. He's just like doing it there, but like soon enough, it will become the end of every sentence for him. As I said, like crowds still chanting it to this day.
It is great when he says it. It got over for a reason because it's good.
It's really funny.
It's good.
Yeah.
But if we could take it back, I think we would all agree, Stone Cold included.
Yeah, I think so. So during that match between RVD and Kurt Angle, it was won by Jeff Hardy, who pinned Rob Van Dam to win the Hardcore title. So he is. It's not actually made that clear on SummerSlam, Jeff is the hardcore champion in that match. Rob's not the defending champion.
Really?
Yeah.
In SummerSlam?
Yeah, in SummerSlam, yeah, Jeff's the champion. I know, right? It doesn't feel like it.
Fine.
The mysterious main event championship wrestling, run by the equally mysterious John Collins, was something of a success with its free show in the ECW arena.
Oh, what, the one that we just spoke about?
Yeah. A crowd of approximately 1,300 fans,
God damn.
with several hundred more turned away, saw what was described as a better-than-average indie show and something of an ECW reunion.
I'll take that. Better than average.
The show, which apparently was taped for television as a pilot, featured some historical ECW figures making their return, such as Public Enemy and even original owner Todd Gordon, who turned heel in the main event, screwing Buddy Sandman in his match for the alternative pro wrestling title against Sabu in a ladder match. Despite a brutally hot building, the crowd heat was said to be strong for most of the show. But ultimately, nobody knows what to make of it. In aspects of the Pillman show, that being the Brian Pillman Memorial Show, wrestlers appearing free to help the family of a fallen comrade shows the world of pro wrestling at its best. Main event championship wrestling, in many ways, shows wrestling at its worst. Very openly, people involved in the company talk to friends about being able to con a rich guy out of as much money as possible. Of course, nobody truly knows the rich guy, or even if he is a rich guy, other than he's spending money on limos every week in Evansville and flying name talent in on shows that draw 297 fans. In every interview, the long-term plans change. Talent is announced as being signed, although no one is actually signed. Wrestlers are trying to maneuver themselves into his ear to gain control and jobs for their friends. Nobody is looking at long-term or even pondering that there might be a long-term. Collins himself talks of mysterious backers, but nobody seems to know who they are other than rumours of an unnamed Canadian investor. At this point, Terry Taylor has no involvement with the group, while Kurt Hennig, Barry Windham and Sandman are all involved in various struggles for power. This isn't the first time a wrestling promotion started with no apparent way to be anything but a money pit, and certainly won't be the last. And with no alternative out there, you can't blame wrestlers for being involved or holding out hope that, just maybe, the guy has the money he claims and guys that WWF has no interest in can remain in the business. Having said that, reports were that people enjoyed themselves at the free show. Whether they come back on the 22nd of September, which is part of the first weekend of the group's plans, or running regularly, is another question. There didn't appear to be any great enthusiasm by fans to buy tickets for that show, but everyone is likely taking a wait-and-see attitude on this one.
So the card, do you think the people might buy more tickets based on the strength of the matches?
That's what they're thinking. Is according to the reports, there isn't a huge appetite to pay for the show, but people very much enjoyed going to a free show.
It's kind of necessary for a business to continue making money.
The show wasn't without its fun, and since this group more than any other is playing directly to an internet audience, stories from this include that the shows were supposed to have a hot opener where Lou E. Dangerously and Joel Gertner had an argument with a local wrestler who looks like The Rock and Smoke. Gertner was being threatened and New Jack was supposed to run in for a very fast brawl. The fast brawl lasted more than 10 minutes as Jack supposedly went into business for himself. And later beating Tony DeVito in a double juice fest, but without a strong leader that either will become a standard fare for the company or they'll just be working angles like this that are actually planned. The story was that Bagwell was asked to do a job for Steve Corino. I suppose it's possible, but it just sounds fishy. Then the idea was that Bagwell, having been told and agreeing to it, told Corino that he, Buff, was going over with his finish. It ended up being, they didn't even have a match, but did do an angle. Corino ripped on Bagwell, talking about how horrible his match with Booker T was on Raw. Crowd chanted things like, "Where's your mum?" and "You got fired," as Corino asked where Judy Bagwell was, and Bagwell, who was booed out of the building, pretended not to even know who Corino was and told him that he needed to go to Gold's Gym. A lot of people thought the Corino-Bagwell byplay was the highlight of the show. Bagwell ended up pinning Jack Victory in a bad match, while Corino never wrestled. Wyndham and Mike Rotunda were supposed to wrestle the Gladiators, who were the former Pitbull Gary Wolf and Johnny Hotbody, but Wyndham, who was there, never wrestled, and instead Rockin' Rebel took his place. Rebel and Hotbody were from the early days of ECW. Wrestling highlights of the show were said to be the three-way with Billy Reel, Roadkill and Crowbar, which the fans gave a standing ovation to.
Didn't you say Spanky was on the show? Brian Kendrick?
He was being brought in for the show, yeah. Among others who worked the show include Simon Diamond, Dawn Marie, Blue Meanie, Jasmine St. Clair, of course she was there, Blue Meanie was there, Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge apparently was terribly overweight, FBI, Kurt Hennig, who squashed former WCW Sting impersonator Chris Harris and got a huge ovation, Julio De Niro, Danny Doring, Chris Chetty, Christian York, and Joey Matthews. Bobby Heenan, during the week, had agreed to do the show and was told he would be announcing with Joey Styles, largely as a favour for Hennig. Styles earlier in the week said he didn't have a deal, Hennig was expected to go, but never heard from anyone with the promotion and never got any plane tickets.
Oh, it sounds a bit chaotic for something that's going to have legs.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad everyone got a payday and the fans got a free show.
Oh, there's another new promotion that's coming up called Worldwide Extreme Wrestling, who are claiming they have a 12-show pay-per-view deal with DirecTV starting in January. Dave writes here, sounds like there's going to be a lot of pay-per-views over the next year from a lot of different companies that nobody buys.
Yeah, a lot of... I think what wrestling companies don't understand is if you go into a TV meeting, yes means no. Yeah, oh yeah, that sounds great. TV just keeps everything open. Yeah, that sounds great. Oh yeah, we'll do that. But they just do more meetings.
Yeah, a lot more meetings.
And everything takes forever. But I bet if you're a wrestling promotion, you go in there, you're not used to that environment. They said yes.
Yeah, we're on, guys.
Oh, it's agreed. It's all agreed. Is the contract there? No, but they said yes in the room.
They said yeah, that they'll do it.
On a business based on handshake verbal agreements like wrestling, it's a total culture clash to come into contact with TV.
So Multi-Channel News, which was a like a news organization, they had an article.
Multi-Channel News sounds like a fake news organization in a superhero movie.
They had an article about the sale of WCW where they said the price was $2.5 million. So that's where like that figure's really been sort of spread around. Stuart Snyder was quoted in Multi-Channel News in the article about how WCW's low purchase price and said there would be a new WCW television show that it won't happen over the next month. He blamed the ratings decline on the switch from USA to TNN and MTV. So Stuart Snyder works for WWF. He is kind of considered to be somewhat of a mole that kind of facilitated the WWF purchase of WCW.
Beat that guy up. Not Test.
So when asked about why ratings are going down, he was like, oh, it's because we've moved from USA to TNN. Dave writes here, that's a good one, when the big decline came in April and May of 2001. And it moved like last year. He claimed the recent jump in ratings was because of The Rock's return, and that the acquisition of WCW hasn't sparked a ratings jump. Dave writes here, tell me he did not just say that.
Oh, he did a Booker T line.
Because we have gone through the ratings on this show, and when they introduced ECW and WCW, the ratings did spike up first. And then they tailed off again because they buried it. And then The Rock came back and they spiked it up again.
So that seems to me, again, this the Snyder?
Scott Snyder, yeah. Stuart Snyder. Not Scott Snyder from DC.
Zack Snyder.
Stuart Snyder.
Stuart Snyder. He knows all this stuff. I'd be confident to say. He's just saying things to suit his agenda.
Yeah. In the same way that when they asked, why are ratings for Smackdown bad? Oh, it's because they're taping it and the internet's leaking out the results. Never mind the fact there's a lot of evidence that shows that when that was happening in 1999 and 2000, didn't affect the ratings whatsoever. But then he did say they believe they've captured a fair amount of WCW fans, but need to work to acquire more. Dave does right here, though, but wouldn't that be a direct contradiction of your first statement? Mysterio met with Jim Ross and John Laurinaitis at the 7th of August at the Smackdown show in Los Angeles. Juventud Carrera came with him, but did not have a meeting scheduled. Neither were offered contracts. Mysterio Jr., who called the WWF to set the meeting up since his Time Warner deal has about $350,000 per year and expires on December 31st, was told to keep his Time Warner deal and keep in shape by wrestling indies. And that in January, when his contract expires, there would be a chance to bring him in.
For the Rumble. Great shout. When does Ray come in?
SummerSlam.
Next year. 2002. Oh, man. It's a bit of a delay there. I wonder if he brought his gear. If him and Juventud brought their gear to that SmackDown meeting.
If they were smart,
because he got to.
Lance Storm talks about how, he was the first guy to run in for the InVasion. That was only decided on the day when he got there. Oh, actually, you're here. Let's do a run-in later on. And he was like, I had my gear because I brought it just in case, because you never know.
Always bring your gear.
My favorite story in the world, Joey Abs when he was asked to go to WrestleMania when Shane McMahon made his return to face The Undertaker, brought his sweater vest and brought his gear just in case he was asked on the day, hey, do you fancy doing a run-in? And honestly, if I was there at the time, I'd be like, oh, we should have Joey Abs do a run-in.
Yeah, they should have definitely done that.
Regarding Jerry Lawler, the feeling seems to be that his latest internet antics, particularly his looking for a new girlfriend on the internet.
Oh, it's like a new in-ring segment.
So Jerry Lawler, just to catch you up if you're first here for this podcast, he quit the WWF in protest of the cat being fired in February.
The cat being his real-life wife.
And now they have got a divorce. He went on Opie and Anthony. They made fun of him a lot for him. And now he's on the internet, first writing a letter to Kat to come back. Mm-hmm. Now is looking for a new girlfriend, using his website to try and find a new girlfriend.
Again, we didn't know what the internet was back then. It was South America with the flu. It wasn't adapted. Wrestlers didn't know what to do. Just like when social media comes in the early 2010s, wrestlers weren't prepared.
They didn't know what to do. They didn't know if you drink, then you might tweet something or get hacked maybe.
It's not their fault.
Lawler was earning $250,000 per year on his WWF deal and was on Between the Ropes radio this week and said he's been talking with Jim Ross, who has said his personal issues, once his personal issues are settled, that he'd be interested in having him back. Within the WWF, there's a lot of opposition to Lawler, particularly because of how everything went down in Tacoma and because also how public Lawler has made the split on the internet. There's also a feeling that Lawler's respect within the locker room has really gone down with his recent internet posts. On the other hand, according to Heyman's personal bankruptcy petition, Heyman is making $1,000 per week in the Raw announcing position combined with his full-time writing job. Although it is possible that figure could be low because of the idea he owes the WWF money for all that money they lent to him at the end of ECW. The feeling is that Lawler wouldn't be brought back anytime soon. Lawler this week said that Vince Russo called him this week and offered him $35,000 for a 10-day tour of Australia to do commentary, which he turned down. He also claimed that the Honky Tonk Man at one point called him and said they could work the marks by going back and forth in website posts to build up hits as an explanation for what the Honky Tonk Man has been saying about him.
Great.
Because Honky Tonk Man has been making so much fun of Jerry Lawler because of his divorce and because of his quitting the WWF and then getting divorced. So Lawler's like, we can work the marks this way.
Yeah. Let's turn it into a wrestling angle. Yeah. It's business. It's not personal. It's never nice when someone has their relationship ending or you want to be there for them. But at the same time, if they do start doing a lot of public posts about it, back then it would be blogs. Right now it would be desperate live streams. Come back to me, baby. That sort of stuff. Maybe a couple of nostalgia posts of the relationship.
Yeah.
That line from Meltzer has lost a bit of respect from the boys in the locker room. I think we've probably been the person who's lost the respect.
Oh, yeah.
But also we've seen maybe friends who have gone that way. Yeah. There's a new WhatsApp group that forms. Hey, have you seen this?
Have you seen what this person
no, what's he doing?
Oh, no.
But it's Jerry Lawler.
It makes me so glad that I think my worst breakup I've ever had was before social media was really a thing.
Yeah.
Like Facebook was very much in its infancy here. I was probably making some dumb posts about it, but like they could not have been spread further or far and wide.
Yeah, thank God that because if I was younger, if we were younger right now, and maybe I had a bad breakup, I would have definitely turned it into a storyline on the news.
Man, do you know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. I probably would have. So that breakup was bad. The breakup I had before that, which I took so badly, I got back into wrestling.
Oh my God, you loser.
Man, if I had social media then, I would have been an absolute mess on something like that. If I was on this podcast, I would have been a mess.
We would have a segment. It would be like Luke's dating attempts, and it would be you reading out funny anecdotes of dating apps and rejections and bad dates,
but all the while hoping that she would be seeing it to see that A, I'm going on so many dates, but B, I hope she comes back to me.
Yeah. or, maybe someone from our 97% male audience would go, hey, this Luke guy's okay.
Yeah,
let's start a relationship with him.
Eddie Guerrero is still in rehab, and there's no timetable on anything other than where he was a while ago. It's way too early to even speculate on a return date. Put a pin in that. We will come back to that in a future episode.
Because is this the year he wrestles a few shows in the UK, or is that the following year?
It's this year. It's this year. So, spoilers, he will be fired before the end of the year. But yeah, putting a pin in that for now. We'll return to that story later. Lots of injuries on the roster report. Booker T's injury was said to be an old PCL knee ligament injury that has plagued him for several years and has been aggravated. He developed a cyst that burst, causing fluid buildup in the calf and knee. He had it drained last week while in San Diego, but they've limited his physical involvement, doing basically 1-minute matches on the road. There was some heat on him because during the week he missed a scheduled rehab appointment, and the WWF doesn't take well to that.
Well, that they need you to be in tip-top condition.
The announcing team for MECW has now been confirmed. It will be Don Callis and Joey Styles.
Amazing. Weren't we also talking about Mauro Ranallo?
They were.
For that, yeah.
Yes, but they've now agreed to just doing it as Don Callis and Joey Styles.
Great ECW vibe.
There's a major political victory for the ECW forces over the X-Stars, Wyndham and Hennig forces, battling to control because they wanted Bobby Heenan as the announcer. Fun fact, actually, Don Callis and Joey Styles, Bischoff has said that was going to be his announcing duo. His plan for the relaunch of WCW was going to have 2 different announcing partnerships for the first hour of Nitro and the second hour of Nitro. One of them would be Don Callis and Joey Styles. The other one would be Tony Schiavone and Jerry the King Lawler. That was going to be his 4-team announcement.
And that's why his version would definitely have worked. That sounds like, just that idea alone meant that Bischoff's 4th attempt at making WCW work would smash it out the park. Because that's what I remember. WCW, the year of 2000, I'm like, but it's just the same announcers from the hour 1 to hour 2.
That's the real problem.
But look, you're not going to draw viewers with the same announcers for 2 hours.
Dave writes here, I don't want to use the word dead because that may be too strong, but there will be no Hogan Universal deal or promotion at any time in the near future. That story that we've been tracking since episode 1 has come to an end.
Yeah.
Or has it?
That negotiating ploy for WWF to sign Hogan has come to an end.
Sid Vicious, Buff Bagwell, and Jeff Jarrett are set to go to Australia to do advanced work for World Wrestling All-Stars, which starts on the 19th of October and the 27th of October, or to the 27th of October, that Vince Russo is putting together. Russo himself may not be going on the tour and just write scripts and send them in. Bret Hart, who had up to this point turned down every offer to involve himself in wrestling, even to the point of not doing autographs in the ring at independent shows, will be refereeing the Sydney show taped for pay-per-view which will air at least in the UK and Australia, and on the Melbourne show. He is getting $40,000 for 2 dates. Also on the tour will be
$40,000.
$40,000 for those 2 dates. Also on the tour will be Stevie Ray, Big Vito, Disco Inferno, the Harris Twins, Conan, Juventud Carrera, who's got a terrible track record in Australia, Psychosis, and they're trying to get Ken Shamrock. Amongst the ideas include Disco Inferno boxing a kangaroo.
Did it happen?
Well, we'll find out because maybe we'll review those WWA shows
brilliant.
as an addendum series to this.
Just on the money numbers there, you got to remember this is 2001. Our rule of thumb is to double the actual price to get real-time 2026 figures. $80,000.
The official name for the new Saturday show that debuts on the 25th of August, to surprisingly little fanfare, is WWF XS.
Oh, not Attitude.
No, they've named it XS, which I think is hilarious because it feels like they have an excess amount of content at the moment.
WWF, too much.
I wonder if that means 2 hours of nothing but referee bumps and Shane pulling referees out of the ring at the count of 2. That's Dave being a bit snarky about what's happening.
Dave, you cad.
The Rock's wife, Danny Garcia Johnson, gave birth to the couple's first child, named Simone Alexandra Johnson.
Better known to us as Ava.
That's absolutely right. Now, I haven't talked about this show a lot. I only wanted to mention that because Ava, we love Ava. I haven't actually talked about this a lot. as we've gone through the show, but WWF have been working on a show called Manhunt with UPN and Paramount that they have now managed. So that's sort of like bubbling in the background. We're working with Paramount. One of our stars is going to be the host of the show, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But it actually turns out to have been a bit of a mess. Sounds like WWF got out of Manhunt just in time with the word that the reality show, which is bombing in the ratings, ended up being faked when the original taping was deemed too boring. The show was already in danger of being cancelled due to the scandal of the show being faked going public last week, and UPN and Paramount are trying to wash their hands of it, saying they don't support and won't support anything attempting to manipulate the outcome of a show. Oh yeah.
Did they broadcast pro wrestling?
Apparently, UPN and Paramount felt the original footage of the show, which featured John Cena in the lead role as the Hunter, was too boring of a show, which was the brainchild of the WWF, but WWF pulled out of the venture early this year, claiming the company was too busy with the XFL and Tough Enough. Paramount, in March, decided to try and save the project by changing the rules, shooting new scenes that were scripted in Los Angeles Griffith Park and not in Hawaii, where the series was mainly filmed, and the LA scenes and re-scripted action were edited into the show. UPN and Paramount denied the changes, which were claimed by a contestant who refused to do the scripted scenes, and co-executive producer Bob Jaffe claimed he quit when they asked him to fake the show. One of the original 13 contestants also refused to do the scripted scenes in Los Angeles. Reporter Peter Lance shot photos secretly during the reshoots in Los Angeles and produced copies of the script and showed footage of the other producer directing the contestants in their new roles. The cast members were dressed in the same outfits they wore in the original shoot. Some members, who had their heads shaved months earlier, were told to wear bandanas to hide their hair had grown back. UPN is trying to claim that while they weren't happy with the original footage, they were not involved with anything beyond that. The New York Post ran a story saying that McMahon didn't pull out because he knew about the rigging of the show. They said he cut ties with the show during the winter. McMahon wrote a letter to Paramount demanding his name be taken off the credits and that he didn't want to be paid for any involvement. By the way, if you ever wanted a question asked if the public cares whether the show is real or fake after this publicity of being fake, the show drew a 1.4 rating. It's the best to mark up to date, and 40% up from the first 2 weeks, which people didn't know were fake.
Yeah. Well, it's a scandal. I don't think those are good high quality numbers. Yeah. They're people tuning in to go, oh my God, I heard this show's a train wreck. Let's watch it to be part of a larger cultural conversation. But yeah, I could have told you John Cena leading something. It's going to be boring.
Yeah, this is that point where he's the prototype. He's still like in OVW, but like one of their featured guys there.
Wow. Well, it's a pretty big spot to give a guy. When you said there would be a WWE talent involved with it, I thought, bare minimum test.
He's too busy at WWF New York.
Yeah.
At some of the house show matches with the Hardys and Palumbo O'Hare, all four men were given the instructions they weren't allowed to throw a punch. The idea is that Palumbo and O'Hare in particular need work on the art of working, which is working holds, settling down from transitions from move to move.
Oh, God. You know what? Watching SummerSlam, that is the real big thing for me. How every match, apart from RVD and Jeff Hardy, is the same.
Oh, man, it kills me in the main event.
Angle and Austin get round it because they're just so intense, and the working over in that kind of big prestige main event format works really well because they're excellent. Up and down the card, 2 matches in, you're like, but I've just seen this. Yeah. I've seen this story. So repetitive.
Work a hold, brother.
Yeah.
There have been no discussions at all with Hogan regarding him coming in. Hogan is trying to keep his name in the news with the idea of him doing his own company, and not about to happen anytime soon, if ever, talked about wanting to return, but has yet to have contact with McMahon about it. Ken Shamrock has called WWF, as has agent Barry Bloom, about returning, although at this point negotiations haven't started. There is some question from WWF whether at this stage of Shamrock's life he's willing to come back and do 200 days on the road. Uncle X-Pac, after his criticism, has dumped the Uncle Cracker entrance music and has replaced it with a version of Saliva's Your Disease.
That'll fix it.
And lastly, in our notes here, Sharmell Sullivan, who was Paisley in WCW, has signed a developmental deal. She would later become Sharmell Huffman.
Which is...
the wife of Booker T.
A real Huffman.
What do you want to think is the thumbs up, thumbs down for this episode or this pay-per-view?
Well, the best thing, obviously, RVD Jeff Hardy, very good. Screwed up finish, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Austin Angle, great match. Terrible finish. Everything else is just kind of there and a bit repetitive after a while. But the standards of the time, I think there would have been a sense of momentum in the audience. So I reckon the thumbs up is higher than I would have anticipated. I'm going to say 62% thumbs up.
89.1% thumbs up.
Standards were different.
3.6% down, 7.3% in the middle.
4% down?
Yeah, 4% thumbs down.
Okay.
What do you think the best match went to?
RVD Jeff Hardy.
Nope.
Angle Austin.
Angle Austin.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, if you don't consider the finish, it's a great match.
And the worst?
It would be DDP and Chris Kanyon versus the Brothers of Destruction in a steel cage match.
Absolutely correct. SummerSlam, traditionally the WWF...
Is this Undertaker's worst year?
His year is dreadful for Taker. Honestly, it's awful. SummerSlam, traditionally the WWF's second biggest pay-per-view event of the year, was more of a by-the-book show, with a strong lineup presented and a straightforward approach with a few swerves and curves. The show was largely well received and had little controversy. Afterwards, aside from the analysis of whether the WWF title match or The Rock should have gone in the main event position. The decision regarding this non-issue was a non-issue since they weren't going to have a clean finish in the WWF title match, and the WCW title match would have a happy ending with The Rock winning, so that was put on last. Virtually all of the advertising for the show was based around Rock's return to pay-per-view. Another argument for putting it on last. In hindsight, because as a match, Rock vs. Booker T couldn't follow a near match of the year performance by Steve Austin and Kurt Angle, you could make the argument in the other direction. The show drew a sellout crowd of 15,293 fans, with 14,000 paying. The feeling internally...
So it's still very hot as a promotion.
The feeling internally was they didn't want a finish in the Angle-Austin match because they didn't want to hurt Angle's momentum so quickly after his turn, but the big money match is with Austin versus Rock, which at this point is scheduled for Survivor Series, but that could change, and eventually Austin versus Triple H, which may end up as the Mania main event. Rock's winning of the WCW title is a step to attempt to elevate it to the same level as the WWF title, which, since the company is planning on splitting into 2 touring factions next year, is something needed for the long haul.
So they're seeing The Rock winning... I know you brought up the brand split stuff earlier. So serious conversations being had again that this is back on the table.
Yes, we are still going to split these 2 groups up, whether do WCW and WWF, or as they eventually do, Raw and
SmackDown, yeah.
The lone negative on the show was Undertaker and Kane versus Diamond Dallas Page and Chris Kanyon in the tag team title unification match. It was a one-sided squash match in a cage where the belts themselves seemed not just secondary but inconsequential. It would have been better to have other teams in the tag title hunt and leave these 4 simply to do a cage match, since the idea was to blow off the hugely disappointing Stalker angle. Undertaker, because of his tenure at the top, is something of the company icon, and few will dare say anything negative about since he's considered a locker room leader, but his lack of selling and putting over new talent is turning him into the same type of wolf on top of the hill that killed WCW. Kevin Nash was also a locker room leader, and while Undertaker has a career history of being more of a star and working harder, from a fan standpoint, there are a lot of similarities.
I will not have this disrespect on Kevin Nash's name. Nobody worked harder than that guy.
Lastly, for you, Oliver Davis, what is number 1 at the top of the UK film box office on August 19th, 2001?
August 19th. Could you refresh my memory going into InVasion?
I can do indeed. You might recall.
It was freaking Jurassic Park 3.
It sure was.
Oh, it still haunts me how long it took me to get that.
So yeah, we had Jurassic Park 3, and then after that, for 2 weeks, from the 5th of August to the 12th of August, was Cats and Dogs.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It's not a bad movie.
It's all right, isn't it?
I enjoyed it. I think the lead, the cat who you think's benign, turns out to be a bad guy. And it's a good swerve at the end. I remember watching that going, it's a good story.
But we do have a new number 1 at the top of the box office. What do you think it is?
Well, August 19th, this is dead in the middle of the summer holidays. This is not a good time to release a film. Usually it's the time when a British TV spin-off gets a film release. Is it? Am I close there?
No, you're absolutely
okay.
not.
So not Kevin and Perry.
No, you're pretty far off.
Give me some form of clue.
Okay, part of a franchise. That
Jurassic Park 4.
a part of a franchise looking to get a new lease on life.
So it's already had a few installments.
Quite a few, yes.
Alien?
No, it is not Alien.
I'm trying to think of 90s or 80s
will,
franchises.
Just to give you a bit of another hint, it is not a sequel. We're rebooting, and we're giving it a new coat of paint, new director, new vision coming in.
It's too early for Batman Begins, surely.
Yeah, that's not until a couple of years later.
A new director, lease of life in August 2001. Oh my God, is it Planet of the Apes?
It is Planet of the Apes. It is Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes is #1 at the box office.
Mark Wahlberg, Helena Bonham Carter, of course.
Yes, because everyone saw the angle they did on Monday Night Raw and was like, well, hot dang, I've got to go see that at the cinema when it comes out.
Yeah, because it is a film about sort of apes having sex with humans. And Stephanie was going to have sex with those apes.
If Stephanie's in that movie, if Stephanie McMahon was in that movie in 2001, I probably would have gone to see it. Instead, I went to go see it because I loved Planet of the Apes. I love that franchise so much. Escape from Planet of the Apes is a top tier movie.
It's one of your, it's one of your things, isn't it? Godzilla, Planet of the Apes.
Love Planet of the Apes.
Just rubbish things that you love with all your heart. No, that's unfair. It's not rubbish things. It's one very good thing, mostly bad things, and an above average sequel quite late in the franchise that you cling to.
Because like Escape from the Planet of the Apes is great. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which is done on such a small budget, is awesome. It's such a great film.
Friday the 13th, Halloween, these are your other things.
If you can get a franchise with multiple entries in it, and each of those entries has got something really interesting to say about it, oh man, I'm all over it.
You're not so caring about, it's a trilogy. It's a quadrat like Alien or Star Wars maybe. You want things that are going direct to DVD within 3 installments.
If you can do, that's actually that's the best way forward, because that way you don't have the studio involved. Because you can just get directors with a clear vision of what they want to do on a small budget,
and people like you will buy it.
I'll buy it.
There's got a built-in audience.
I'll watch Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is less of a battle, more of a skirmish, because they're on a TV budget by that point.
What did you think of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes?
Terrible. A dreadful movie.
It's really pedestrian, isn't it?
So pedestrian, with a really irritating finish. It's got a really annoying swerve and twist in the end.
You're going to have to tell me, I can't remember.
So the twist at the end is that they get back to Earth, but what they find is that Tim Roth sort of got there first, and they go to the Abe Lincoln statue, and it's got a monkey's head on it.
Ape Lincoln?
It's an Ape Lincoln head instead, and it's Tim Roth's ape that's there. I'm pretty sure it's Tim Roth's ape that's there. And you walk in and you go, wait, so he got back to Earth, but also went back in time. Okay, and then Helen Bonham Carter and Tim Burton was on the commentary, I believe, and Helen Bonham Carter has said like, oh yeah, it's not supposed to make sense. That's the beauty of it. Fuck off. What do you think is the #1 song in the UK charts? We recently had Eternity / The Road to Mandalay by Robbie Williams. Then we had Atomic Kitten's Eternal Flame for a couple of weeks, but we have got a new entry at the top of the chart.
Eternal Flame. I think that's the song for the parole officer.
Is it really? Let's have a look. That's just going to take me to the main.
Because the music video was just them doing their own music video intercut with scenes from the Steve Coogan film comedy, The Parole Officer.
So it might have been, I don't think it was written for it.
No, but they just like, that's going to weirdly be the end credits song.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, it's just a version of the song. It was for the debut album Right Now.
Mm-hmm.
How I feel about you now. Was that Atomic Kitten?
No, that's Sugar Babes.
Sugar Babes.
That's one of the versions of Sugar Babes. I
Triggers broom of bands.
I think I've told this story before with the parole officer. There's a scene where Steve Coogan's in one room and the love interest is in another room. She's getting changed, and there's a mirror, and Steve Coogan's like, oh, I won't look at the mirror because I can see her getting changed. That's the bit. And my mate, with new DVD technology, was convinced. He was really. We bought it because we would be able to change that angle in the film, where we could see her bottom.
Yeah.
Like, we could move the actual... Like, they filmed every possible angle in the room and then only used one. But all of those angles will be available on the DVD.
Yeah. It's like a virtual tour of the set.
And we were heartbroken because he just convinced... I was like, you're 13. You're like, oh, that's what DVDs are. That's amazing. No, of course that's not what happened. We just paused it.
It does sound like that's a sort of feature that they would have put up on, like, when they were doing those adverts for DVD, crystal clear images, things like that. That does sound like the sort of thing they'd have promoted that you could do.
Well, new angles were a thing in some films. The Reservoir Dogs DVD, you could watch a version of the scene with a different angle where you watched the ear get cut off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you might have misheard... New angles of scenes, new shots.
But what he might have heard there is that's not for like just one specific scene or one specific movie. That is all DVDs and all movies. Yeah. All movies from now on are being shot with 20 different cameras from different angles that you can then select when you get to the DVD itself.
It's the metaverse on DVDs. Okay, so that's where we're at. I think. Is it Sophie Ellis Bextor's Murder on the Dance Floor?
It is not, I'm afraid, no. It's a British song, though. So you're on the right track.
British artiste. Is it a lady artiste?
No, there are ladies in the group.
So it's a group.
Correct.
It's not hearsay by this point.
Nope.
So it's Liberty X, probably.
No.
It's S Club 7.
No.
Mixed gender.
It's not pop.
Is it rap? Is it So Solid Crew 21 Seconds to Go?
It is.
But
it is So Solid Crew's
who we've
21
seen.
Seconds.
Me and you
Oh my God,
seen.
we have seen them! I forgot about that. That was at that YouTube event.
We went to a YouTube Christmas
party and So Solid Crew was there.
About 3 members of So Solid Crew, because they were quite a few people large. It was a crew. Yeah.
I got 21 seconds to go. I got 21 seconds to flow. Mm-hmm. Me and my friends used to make fun of that song so much because garage was becoming this big thing in 2001, and I thought it was. I mean, I'm a new metal fan, but I thought it was dreadful as a genre. It sounded like toilet. But there's a lad in that group who, during his 21 seconds, that's the gimmick of the song. You haven't heard it. Is that each member of the group has 21 seconds to do a rhyme, and then the next person comes in and they do 21 seconds. But his rhyme says, "See me on the telly, so solid vampire." And I was like, what he's done there is he's rhymed telly and vampire by just doing the same noise at the end there.
That's what Metallica do. Hey,
There's a rhyme there.
Hey, with the TV, and the vampire.
Hit him a bit. Cha! So that's your number one song. Now, it's time to get into the pay-per-view. Let the bodies hit the I love this intro. It's not actually about SummerSlam or the stories going into SummerSlam. It's just a music video at the start of the show.
Yeah, it's a music video like The Parole Officer and Atomic Kitten. It's just a music video with shots of the InVasion build.
Yeah.
That groundbreaking at the time, now quite a sloppily done YouTube edit.
Yeah, this has been a shipping, you might say.
Yeah.
I love it. I think Bodies by Drowning Pool is among the most perfect nu metal songs.
Right.
Like, of a genre, I think this is a perfect song within the genre.
What makes it a perfect song?
It has got a good bit of repetitiveness. It has got that aggression to it about let the bodies hit the floor. It makes you want to mosh. It makes you want to jump down. It has got this crunchy guitar sound. It's got widdly widdly sounds. It is just like it's like you put nu metal into AI and it generated out this song. But it was actually made by humans.
So I think nu metal, and I think a rap element to it. Mm-hmm. Would you think there's enough of a rap
There is not
slant
enough of
to
the rap,
this.
but it has got enough of the lightness and screaming within there.
I like the guy in the doctor's chair from the music video. When I saw him, I wasn't just transported back to InVasion and this year and wrestling. I was transported to music television and just watching this. And the guy in the chair, because the gimmick of the video, he's strapped into a chair. He's going to get like some kind of Clockwork Orange style reconditioning of his brain.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Nothing wrong with me.
And he's watching on the TV screen. I think in the music video, it's Drowning Pool singing.
Yeah.
Here it's...
The invasion.
It's the invasion.
That's the Clockwork Orange style torture as you're made to watch the invasion.
No, it makes no sense.
And I know there will be people who can only hear this song now through the parody version that was released on the internet a few years back of 4 can only count to 4. 1 can only count to 4. 2 can only count to 4.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
You sound like you're doing a Sesame Street bit
Yes, with the count.
on how to count. Yeah.
Fun fact. So I was at my kid's ballet the other day, and an older gentleman arrived, dropping off his daughter, who was one of the ballet teachers. And he sort of dropped her off, and then he left. And one of the mums turned to me and said, "Do you remember Badger, 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 Badger?" And I was like, the old internet thing of Badger, Badger, Badger,
Yeah.
Badger, mushroom, mushroom. Oh, a snake. She was like, "He made that."
Whoa.
I was like, what? She's like, yeah, he's like the most famous person, apart from Harry Hill, the most famous person from here.
And now he's just a normal guy.
Just a normal guy dropping off his kid to do her ballet teaching.
Wow.
I was almost starstruck by it.
Shake his hand. Get him on this podcast.
Let's
Do a collab.
I would say Drowning Pool Bodies, it's up there with Korn's Blind, Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff in terms of, ironically, all with the Let's Start and Beer, I suppose, of just like perfect new metal tracks. And it fits wrestling so well. I read in my notes here, in all caps, I am fucking jazzed for this show.
Fucking jizzed. Yeah, it's the best. You're right. It fits it tonally perfectly. And even though it is a total hack job of putting these wrestling clips in the music video, it fires you up. But this is where we see Rhino goring Jericho through the stage. Loads of just Kurt and Austin and Taker kicking ass.
That's awesome.
Not much WCW.
Oh, no, there's no gin track
we've
in
moved
this.
past that.
There's no Palumbo and O'Hare in this.
Where's Lance Storm stopping the music video? Can I be serious for a moment?
I like it during the build for the just before the Austin Angle match. When it goes like go, hey, go, they put videos of people screaming like they're in a submission hold, going like It's
but
awesome.
This is so good. I misremembered that it was that Beautiful People was the song before this for SmackDown, and this then became the SmackDown theme tune.
No,
I must have listened to it so much at this time.
I listened to this constantly in that summer of 2001. This was like the song. We kick things off tonight for the Intercontinental Championship as Edge looks to win the title back for the WWF from Lance Storm. And were you distracted by the fact that the entrance was on the other side of the ring for this show?
How do you mean?
So, okay, I'll bring up on...
I was obviously not distracted if I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, here's the hard cams. Oh, there's the ring. Let me cut the screen.
Yeah.
Right? The entranceway's up this way. See where that sign of Shut Up Weasel is?
Yeah,
That's where the entrance is. The hard cam is on the other side of the building.
Yeah, so it's not the entranceway's fault.
Yeah, the hard cam
It's the hard cam's fault.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so weird.
It's so weird.
That's wrong. It's like when they stand at the wrong ends of a tag match. I'm like, what is this blasphemy?
Get on the heel side. Lance Storm opens this, cutting a promo. There's no place for offbeat shenanigans in this business. Clearly, Vince thought that was hilarious because he says it in... I thought he only said it once. It is every promo that he does.
Hey, it's funny. It's a catchphrase. You got to get it over. You got signs that say offbeat shenanigans.
My favorite bit of this is like, and I will explain why there are no offbeat shenanigans as long as I'm given the courtesy of no interruptions. Pause. Splendid. Now, and then Edge interrupts.
Yeah, and it cuts backstage. And the WWF undercard are watching along. There's Crash, there's Kai and Ty, Bob Holly's there. I've got a full list later on. And Christian, he's really cheering on his brother, because he's canonically right now his brother. But is it sincere?
I think
he's doing it too much.
He is. I don't think he realizes it yet, although he will do soon because I think he turns heel by the time we get to the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, as they should, because this has been going since King of the Ring. Edge won the trophy. Christian
would have won it.
I would have won if I had an easier route like you did to the final. Yeah.
Heyman says on commentary, the WWF is on the back foot because the Alliance won at InVasion and took over. Took over what exactly?
Well, the show. Heyman's on commentary.
Yeah, but that's not because they won at the InVasion.
They've got all the belts.
They're not booking the shows. Regal is still booking the shows.
Yeah, but oh man, they're dominant, aren't they? They've got Stone Cold Steve Austin. They've taken over.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it in a bit. Like, look at our next match. Well, that's a WWF versus WWF match if I've ever seen one. I really enjoyed this though. It's really good wrestling.
It is. It's technical stuff early. Lance is working over Edge. And yet, in the sort of, I guess because I hadn't watched 6 different variations on this same match, it was fresh for me. Lance working over Edge, cutting off the hope spots, getting the crowd psychologically invested in Copeland's comebacks.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Edge makes his comeback. What I like about this, it's not just it's good wrestling, it's a clash of personalities. Because you have got super serious Lance Storm, if I can be serious, man. No room for offbeat shenanigans. And you've got Edge, who's like, willy party dude. Totally reeking of awesomeness.
And there are some really good moments in this. Edge, I've always liked him when he works as a counter wrestler. So either as a heel and he's working someone over, oh, hope spot's coming, amazing counter to cut it off. He does that there, but from the babyface position, because Lance does this springboard leap into a power slam.
Yeah.
Great counter.
Superb.
A little bit later on, Lance jumps up for a drop kick. Edge is running off the ropes, catches him in a powerbomb.
Yeah, it's so good. Heyman also mentions that Storm has a reversal for everything, and just like that, he reverses straight into the single leg crab, which I love as a finish, one of my favorite submissions. Christian runs in and he goes for the spear, but Storm sends Christian into Edge, so he spears Edge. Then Lance Storm, wham, super kick. Edge kicks out. And then Edge just hits the DDT and he wins the title back for the WWF.
Yeah. So even though Christian sort of was there to cost him the match, it's WCW, I guess. Edge is going to win.
Yeah, they did this near fall. Edge just got back up, hit his DDT and won. and that really was the finish. Christian hands Edge the title, but he was looking at it a little bit too long, you might say.
Speaking of looking, now we cut back to the locker room because there is a sort of WCW versus Alliance theme to this show.
Not for the stars.
Not for not for the actual big matches.
The Rock and Taker and Kane are not within this room.
No, but this room watches their matches. They watch the Angle Kurt one at least.
Well, they've got to learn.
And look at Big Show. He's celebrating right there with everyone.
Ooh.
And then does not care. Does it cut back to him again? Because he has just like the least. He could have been in WWF New York with this face. He does his little celebration, and then look how much he gives a shit. He's a big shit.
But all the stars there, you've got Crash Holly, S.A. Rios, Albert, his push is really gone now, Kai and Tai, Scotty Tsuhori, Bob Holly, R-Truth, Al Snow, Big Show. Who's that behind Big Show?
You've got
There's Lita.
R-Truth, the time traveler.
Yeah, which means that Matt Hardy is behind Lita, I suppose. Billy Gunn's there.
Yeah.
Who's behind Billy Gunn?
Is it Regal?
It looks like Alex Riley.
He's in a suit. I think that's Regal.
It could be Regal, I suppose. Yeah, it's probably Regal. Dave would say of the match, pretty obvious they want to give Edge a singles push. Gee, Dave, what was your first clue? After a series of reversals, Edge got the pin after an implant DDT, which is, contrary to popular belief, not a DDT given to a man with boob jobs.
Is that another bit of Dave comedy?
Dave comedy right there.
He's been a sarky guy, isn't he, on this week's episode?
Strong opener, 3.25 stars.
Yeah, strong opener, a basic match. But that's the quality of wrestling at the time. This was a pay-per-view caliber WWF 2001 match.
Yeah, you would just get this regularly on Raw now. And even if you got this regularly on Raw now, you'd be like, it was just a match.
We'd do a whole podcast about how the feeling's gone.
And Brian Alvarez would say, a good match, and Storm was awesome, 3.25 stars. Backstage, I've written Edge here, but Test and the Dudley Boys are walking. Cole walks up to Test and asks, why did you turn your back on the WWF? And Test said, I like to partay. A partay. He said, well, actually, the WWF turned on me. And you know what? The Dudley Boys are one of the greatest tag teams on the planet. But everyone just wants to talk about little Spike Dudley. So I'm going to go show him who's boss.
Yeah, he's sort of saying, you're accusing me of disloyalty, but the WWF locker room beat me up for something I didn't even do. Meanwhile, loyalty, where's Spike's loyalty to the Dudley Boys? They're family. This is totally justified. But Test is such a bad promo.
Yeah.
He comes off like a heel.
Yeah, there's a reason why his push is never going to be that sustained. Lillian Garcia interviews Chris Jericho, and points out he's never beaten Rhino.
Good story going into this, especially because Stephanie, she seems like it's a masterstroke that she's got Rhino to take Jericho out.
Jericho calls Lillian Vivian, and then says, we all remember our first time, just like Stephanie remembers her first time with the captain of the football team, and the captain of the lacrosse team, and the captain of the hockey team, and the captain of the basketball team, and the captain of the chess club team, and even the foreign exchange student.
I think there would have been a great one-liner there for Lillian, or Jeremy Borash would be the perfect deliverer. Her first time with the captain of the football team, the captain of the basketball team, the captain of the hockey team. Jeremy Borash. Talented guy. He's going to leave Rhino flat, which is something that Stephanie wouldn't know anything about because she's had a boob job recently. Yes. He also said Steph's going to feel at home here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
This, usually you would just do one-liner. He just fired all the one-liners.
You say that, but also I think that Vince McMahon has walked up and is like, make sure you talk about my daughter's boob job. Don't just mention it once.
They're huge, aren't they, Chris? I don't know how to react to this. Should I say they're huge?
Just going up to Brian Gurwitz and all the other writers being like, have we made any jokes about how large my daughter's boobs are now?
Yeah.
Make another wrestler say it. Have another one talk about it. Has Stephanie talked about it?
Hey, they get over, though. There's signs for those boobs in the crowd.
I'm not surprised. Much like Offbeat Shenanigans, it's in every promo.
Yeah.
Like Jericho literally had it up on the screen to be like, look how big her boobs are now.
If Booker T, Boober T, was pushed to the extent of Stephanie's new fake boobs, maybe we wouldn't be looking at the main event thinking it's a failure.
Or maybe her boob job is the second top act of the alliance.
It is, yeah. RVD, Stephanie's boobs.
I was thinking of Austin.
Oh, yes.
Then it's Stephanie's boobs. Then it's Rob Van Dam. And that's because Stephanie's boobs know how to work. They don't hurt people. They're not stiff-ski. Spike and the APA take on the Dudley Boys and Test. I don't have a lot of notes for this match. I can tell you this much, and you'll be surprised. Spike gets thrown around a lot.
Oh my God, but what an awesome bump. This, I don't know if it's just desensitized to it now, and that we see lots of huge spots, like weapon spots and big stunts these days. But back in 2001, I felt like these big moments would live in my memory. Shane McMahon falling off the Titantron. I mean, I'm just going to describe SummerSlam 2000, the year before this.
Yep.
The TLC 2 match. Just really good things. And this bump from Spike just looks so visually satisfying. Where is it?
It's this one here. Yeah. Goes to the Dudley Dog.
So he's going to hit the Dudley Dog on Test. There's a table set up outside. Oh, it looks awesome! It looks awesome.
It's so awesome. I love Spike.
Maybe it's because it's all in wide and it doesn't cut to the ground or has like a gazillion different shaky cam replay shots.
I do think that actually does help. Sorry, I'm just going to get to a point that a clip I wanted to show because it's not all perfect, this match, in terms of fun bumps and stuff. Because Farouk takes a really weird bump in this moment here. Like, look at him. He just gets up, leaves. No one saw it.
Shimmy backwards. That guy, just let him do punches and kicks so he can really learn how to work. But the story of the match really is Spike is in for a long, long time, gets totally ragdolled around, and then Bradshaw gets the hot tag. Everything breaks down. Dudley Dog gets thrown to the outside. Bradshaw clothesline from hell.
Mate.
He's got it won on Test. Bearing in mind here, Bradshaw really should apologise to Test for when they beat him up 30-on-1 for being the mole when he wasn't. But the referee's checking on Spike outside. Shane McMahon runs in with a chair, clubbers Bradshaw from behind. The heels won.
Yeah, and that's kind of ready to set up Shane in the main event because the APA will run out to get their revenge. You said Bradshaw gets the hot tag, but I like to thought he got the Hoss tag because he steps in and he's just this big burly dude and it's just clotheslines, shoulder tackles, and then he hits a walloping clothesline from hell.
Well, the good thing about this is the APA are not the main focus, because when the APA become the main focus, crowds don't care. But they're great little bit part players.
Yeah.
The story of this match is the Dudley Boy psychodrama.
Dave Meltzer would say, better match than it sounded on paper. They tried to sell it like Shane came out from nowhere, except a rare miscued camera shot building for the finish showed Shane unacknowledged at ringside with a chair ready for the finish. 2 3/4 stars. And then Brian Alvarez would say, typical 6-man match, 2 matches, 2 run-ins, 2.5 stars. I wonder if that shot of Shane is edited out of this broadcast that we've got, because there is one coming up later on that's completely cut from the broadcast.
Oh, wow.
More on that in a bit.
Exciting.
Christian is congratulating Edge backstage. He says, hey, look, I've already spoken to William Regal, and I've got a shot for Matt Hardy's European Championship. Not seeing that. You don't like the reason why Edge is great, not just because he won the title, he won it back for the WWF bit. Christian's like, I can win one of our titles. I don't need to steal it from them. I'll just win one of ours. Didn't go against Canyon, like to win the WCW United States. I'm going to beat Matt Hardy.
Yeah, but foreshadowing that Christian isn't on the same team anymore.
And he gets a phone call from Grandma Edna, who wants to talk to Edge. And then Christian's like, oh, can I talk to her as well? And then when Christian gets the phone, she's hung up.
Ha ha ha. Crowd laugh at it. It's fun stuff. But this is because Edge and Christian, canonically, are brothers.
Yes, they are.
They are related brothers. They share a grandma.
Stasiak is trying to speak to Steve Austin backstage, but he only finds Deborah.
Now the stars are here.
And what he basically does here is bury his old WCW gimmick, because he used to be the Mecca. And he's like, I've got Mecca written on my side. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, he's got in his own head. He wants to impress Steve as the new leader of the Alliance. But he just can't find a way to do it. It's his tights. Oh, it's my tights. That's the problem. And Deborah's like, hey, no, the real way to impress Steve is go out there and kick some ass. I feel like this is a rib on Sean.
You reckon?
Well, wasn't he the guy who leaked all the plans?
Yes.
He's got a bad reputation backstage.
Yes, true. I don't know if it's punishment for... I reckon they've probably forgotten that they were going to do that at WrestleMania X7 before Stasiak leaked it online.
But wasn't there a few other bits where he was accused of being a suck-up?
It's not that he was a suck-up. He used to record people's conversations. He used to hide talk boys in his bag and record the locker room. And then, as he would say, it was as a prank. I don't think it was a prank, though. I think he just liked to record people's conversations because he's clearly a weirdo.
Yeah.
But I think here it's more a case of someone has stepped up and said, I will be a comedy clown. I'm like, great, because I love a comedy clown. I think that's why he's getting a push on this show.
They've seen Storm. They've seen, who's your other man, Canyon. That's the way to get ahead. Yeah.
We'll see more from Sean Stasiak in a little bit. But first, Tajiri, the light heavyweight champion, I think, takes on X-Pac, who I believe is the cruiserweight champion. This is a title for title to unify these belts. Again. Because Heyman says this will merge the titles. And I can tell you, it technically sort of does. But not in the way you think.
What other way is there?
We'll get into it. When we get to the finish, I'll tell you what happens to the lineage of these titles. But JR mentions in this, during this match, because he's clearly not interested in the match itself, this is a message for our DirecTV viewers. This is going to be the last WWF pay-per-view on DirecTV. So you need to go to a different cable provider if you want to watch the next WWF pay-per-view.
Because that other company's got the 10 pay-per-view deal starting in January.
Exactly.
WWF is scared.
Exactly. This other company saw that there's now a gap in the direct TV market. This is because WWF are having issues with direct TV, and they will break off the partnership completely, but then it will be back within the next sort of month or so. It's not long lasting. Did you have a clip to show us?
Well, just it's a decent match.
It's quite good.
Technical wise, there's surfboard stretches. X-Pac is throwing Tajiri into the steps. It's lots of working over Tajiri. But then Tajiri does this really good comeback to a big pop, because I feel like Tajiri is one of those shining lights in the invasion. He was getting over. He got over as Regal's understudy. He gets good reactions in these matches. As Heat boys, we love Tajiri.
Love Tajiri.
Starts making his comeback. Well. Handspring elbow kicks, and then a very odd pin.
Yeah. It's cool though, right?
But he also pins himself beforehand. Look, the first part of this.
He's not.
His shoulders aren't on the mat.
His shoulders are on his butt. That's why it's such a good pin.
But it's new. And I feel like Tajiri and a few other wrestlers on the roster are trying to evolve the style of wrestling in WWF.
Absolutely.
But it's not working.
No, we've said this on previous episodes. It feels like there is a group of guys who are now joining the WWF because they've come from most really ECW, who are trying to evolve what wrestling is, but WWF don't realize that there's a change of wrestling coming, so are really resisting it, and really will resist it until 2018.
Well, the turnover of top guys up until this point is 5 years, 3 to 5 years. But what we will get after 2001 is the same guys on top for like 10 years. And it's because they are not letting the younger guys with the more exciting styles work their way up the card and beat them.
I also think, as a company, because you're right, I was thinking as a company, they just think there is a certain way to do wrestling, and your flip-de-doo, slap-the-leg, super-kick style is not the way that wrestling should be done.
Which is very frustrating because...
Like a body part.
Vince... that was Vince's mindset going into the mid-90s. And that's why WWF in the mid-90s was dying against WCW, which had a more exciting product. It wasn't just the big soap opera angles. It was the style of wrestling they were putting on. Mm-hmm. So he learned that lesson 5 years ago. The wrestling does move on, that the style of in-ring wrestling has to evolve. But now it does feel like Vince is going, there's a business retraction. I've got two options. Do the same thing I've been doing, which we're comfortable with, and arguably even lean more on the old style, or take this new route, like I just did in 96, 97, which created a new boom period.
Yeah.
And he chooses the stick to what we've currently got model.
It's the safe option. He does not like wrestling.
Well, there's I don't think he's seen it as a safe option. I think he genuinely believes that's what worked in the past.
I think you're right. I also think he doesn't like wrestling.
Yeah.
And to him, wrestling is the least important thing about a wrestling show. The most important thing is the characters and the way that the characters look and the way that characters talk to each other. That's the most important thing about a professional wrestling show.
And he's not wrong. I do think that's probably true. Stars will draw big houses more than that was a 5-star match. But maybe there's room for both.
So that's AEW. I really enjoyed this match, though. I'm particularly when Pac went for the Bronco Buster, and Tajiri just booted him, and then X-Pac somehow, in that motion, ended up in a Tree of Woe position.
Yeah.
It was weird, like he glitched into it. Crowd do not seem to be too much into this, but it is really good. They boo Albert when he comes out. Tajiri missed Albert, but then he runs into an X-Factor. X-Pac, for the second time in 3 weeks, unifies these cruiserweight title belts. Heyman congratulates X-Pac, and I'm like, shouldn't you be annoyed? You've just lost your cruiserweight championship to Team WWF.
But Tajiri isn't Alliance.
No, but that means that the belt's still within the enemy camp, though.
Yeah, but I think because he's a heel, Why, I see a kindred spirit in X-Pac across the battlefield.
Maybe. I'll give you that. Yeah.
But no, I agree. It makes no sense. I just, considering that the Cruiserweight division was still one of the shining lights of WCW, even in its really bad dying days.
Mate, I was watching Super Brawl Revenge, which was the WCW February show, and it opened with this like 8-way like Cruiserweight match that goes, honestly, felt like 40-odd minutes, but it was awesome.
Why don't they have other people brought in to have these? This could have been a 4-way.
Yeah.
This could have been an 8-way. Who cares? You've got a whole load of the best Cruiserweights in the world to fight X-Pac here.
Do you know who else you could have had under contract?
Rey Mysterio?
Well, not that dick. AJ Styles. Yeah. Christopher Daniels. There's legit. You could have you actually had those guys when you brought the contracts in. Mm-hmm. You could have had them as part of this.
Yeah, they could be the new young punks of the Alliance, wanting to make a name for themselves.
So I said earlier that this is effectively the actual title unification. I forgot that X-Pac will lose the Cruiserweight Championship to Billy Kidman on the October 11th edition of Smackdown. So he does lose one of these belts again. This is not a title unification. What it is, though, is the end of the Light Heavyweight Championship.
Oh.
Because shortly after that, X-Pac gets injured, and he never loses the Light Heavyweight belt. But when he returns in 2002 to rejoin the NWO, he does not have that belt with him. There was supposed to be a title unification match at Survivor Series where they would just have the Cruiserweight Championship, but that match doesn't happen because Park's injured. So we just have a Cruiserweight title, and then that gets rebranded after the invasion.
And then that's kind of it, isn't it? It just sort of fizzles out. There's no undercard light super junior heavyweight thing.
There is on SmackDown when they do the brand split. That's the home of the Cruiserweights.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, and so they'll have that's where Jamie Noble sort of gets more.
Yes.
And Ultimo Dragon comes in, and so they have a little Nunzio comes in there as well. They do have a Cruiserweight division for a little while on SmackDown. Dave would say, very good. Probably the one match of the show that could have been longer. 3.25 stars. And Brian Alfred would say, 3 matches, 3 run-ins. Still a good match, though. 3.25 stars. And which loser is in WWF New York today? Why, it's Perry Saturn. Because he can't find Moppy. And he's got Moppy is now on milk cartons.
Please help me find Moppy. And then actually I can show it. So you just hear him do his catchphrase as the camera's fading down.
Moppy. I miss you, Moppy. You're welcome.
He was a legit, really good technical wrestler.
I shouldn't have beat up that dude.
Fair comment.
Yeah.
He should not have actually beaten up a man.
I think it's Raven that steals Moppy. And it leads to a really awkward segment where Raven tries to put Moppy into a wood chipper but can't get the wood chipper to work. Stephanie hypes up Rhino backstage, who says he's going to finish Chris Jericho tonight.
Yeah, because she just wants to fuck Chris Jericho. Here it is. Look how much she wants it.
Yeah.
Rhino, I hope you understand how important this is to me personally. For you to take out Chris Jericho once and for all tonight. I chose you for a reason, Rhino. You're special. Jericho's never been able to defeat you in the ring. I want you to gore Jericho. I want you to gore him right through the ring. I want you.
She's just talking about sex. She's even doing this. She can't get her words out properly. She's so excited.
Yeah, because she's just thinking about that sexy Canadian. Her husband's away.
Yeah.
I was driving down to Hastings the other day, and there was a poster for wrestling that had Rhino on it. Wrestling down.
Yeah, he comes over here a lot.
Down in Hastings. I'd love to be able to give a shout out to the promotion. However, their logo was the same color as the background of the poster.
That's the sort of indie wrestling I love.
I said that to my wife. I was like, that's how you know this is a good indie promotion. I don't even know who it is.
I was worried that stuff like Canva would stop that from happening. But still, they choose to make their posters in word art.
Yes. Up next, it is Rhino versus Chris Jericho, which features the line that I referenced on the last episode. I'm going to take care of that smelly, greasy, nasty animal. And I'm going to get you too, Rhino.
Very funny.
Oh, so
Jericho is so funny back then.
Like a lot of mid-card heels, the WWF don't have a lot of confidence in. This feud is really about a babyface versus Stephanie McMahon. Ironically, this will happen at WrestleMania X8 with Jericho as the heel.
Yeah.
Jericho runs wild. Stephanie grabs his foot as he's diving, which like to jump off the top rope, which means that Rhino catches him with a gore on the outside.
Again, this is just... I don't know if it's because the rest of the wrestling around it is not as flashy, but the moments like these really stand out.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an awesome shot. Counting. It happens so early in the match.
Yeah.
It's 52 minutes, 50 seconds. Sorry. Yeah, watch this. So Stephanie's already tried to stop Jericho jumping off the top rope outside. Rhino's out there. Oh! Yes! Yes! I love gores anyway.
Oh, it's so rad.
Give me all of that you got.
I love
He's
it.
gored him through the Smackdown set. He's gored him off the top rope jump axe handle.
Anyone who was anyone had the gore as their finisher in all the Smackdown games.
Signature move.
The signature move. Oh, that is my finish.
Olympic slam.
Match then, unfortunately, goes into WWF mode. And we slow down for rest holds. And it's such a shame. Because when they did that spot, the crowd chanting holy shit, like they were so into it. But the second that he grinds him down into rest hold, you can feel the energy just seep out of the crowd.
Yeah, and they would, I think the wrestlers, the agents here, would defend their position, saying you can't have a crowd hot all the time. And I know that sounds like a ridiculous statement, but they are true to a degree. You want to take the hope out of the crowd, work over the babyface. And then the mark, if it works, is when the babyface does make their successful comeback, the crowd get into it. And they're louder than they were before. And that is how it works. When Jericho starts making his comeback, bump and feed, standard WWF style, the crowd do get more into it. Yeah. So the working over is tired. Like it's a format thing that wouldn't work today. We are obviously not enjoying it up and down this card. But at the time, it does work.
It does work. I think to a degree. What doesn't help this match is... it gets a little bit botchy towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jericho gets whipped into the ropes and he lionsaults, but to like a standing Rhino, which I actually think is quite a good spot.
Yeah.
I think that one really works. Jericho has the match won, but Stephanie stops the ref. What doesn't help, though, is this one here. This one's edited off.
Oh, okay. So this I don't know what this is.
Edited off the network. I think it's edited off the DVD version as well. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. It's press play.
Oh, no, that's on the...
So that one's there.
Yeah.
Trying to springboard his foot slipped off the ropes. And that's what happens sometimes when you take those chances. You can crash and burn in a heartbeat.
No doubt it cost Rhino earlier in the match, and it almost cost Jericho there. Oh, wow. That was a hard kick to the face. I'll give Jericho a lot of credit.
And you're not kidding. Rhino ran right into that one. Full speed, and now Jericho measuring Rhino. Jericho going to try to...
Oh! No, that is not in there.
No, that is cut off.
Something's up with Jericho's boots there because he slips on the lionsault doing the springboard, and then he slips on that top rope for no visible reason.
Yeah.
He's got slippy shoes.
I think there was actually someone that said there's a reason why it did. I don't think I've got it though. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is edited off the network, and I think that botch there. The crowd sort of lose it a little bit after that.
But before then, like Rhino, a body leg scissors, then a submission hold, then he puts his knee into the back for another rest hold, then it's a headlock. It's like it's boring stuff. For someone who's so explosive like Rhino.
Yeah.
That makes sense when Lance Storm's doing it. It makes sense when X-Pac's doing it because he's more technically minded. I don't want to see Rhino, even as a heel, doing headlock takeovers.
No, it's not for me. Rhino then gets in the walls of Jericho himself, but before that, Jericho forces himself upon Stephanie McMahon and kisses her.
That's another thing that's changed.
He's the baby face.
Yeah, but back then, the heel woman, she's trying to get. Oh, and you smooch the woman because, obviously that would not fly today, and rightfully so. But back then, the crowd popped for it.
It's the loudest they are for the whole match.
And I know we keep saying they're not aware of it, but this to me says surely they do know that the characters of Stephanie and Jericho actually do want to have sex.
I don't think Jericho does. Oh, maybe he does.
He just smooched her.
But I think he's doing that just to be Jericho. He's just being a dick about it.
Because Stephanie, the worst thing that could happen would be this horrible Chris Jericho kissing her.
Exactly.
What I would really love here, and actually lends credence to your way of thinking, because we don't get this. Stephanie then falls off the apron. She's selling this like she's just been misted.
Gonna vomit.
It's the boogeyman worms. It's just like, ugh, ugh. If then we get a shot where Stephanie doesn't think the camera's on her and she just smiles a bit. Oh dear. That was good. But Triple H,
some maple syrup there.
Triple H would never sign off on that.
Yeah, well, I don't think really. Actually, think about it when I don't think that Stephanie would go for a guy like Chris Jericho. Crowd was super into the idea of the gore, but Jericho dodges it, locks in the walls, Rhino taps, and Stephanie has a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
I remember at the time watching this being sad that Rhino lost, because I was really into Rhino, loved Rhino, and I wanted to see like some new guys. And so when he lost, I did have this thing. I'm like 15, so I don't really like have a good concept of what I was about to say was of like to try and formulate this to a thought. But I guess his push is over.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, because, again, like I said earlier, that Kurt Angle rise that we saw, he won King of the Ring, he wins that belt, these are stepping stones. We've seen Rhino do pretty well in King of the Ring. We've seen him be a big factor in the InVasion storyline. He just gored someone through the stage. He's getting a big push, right? Oh.
No, just lost.
He just lost.
Yeah.
And we've just been told that Rhino always beats Jericho, Jericho's never won, and Jericho overcame both Stephanie on the outside and Rhino to win clean.
Won pretty easy. Dave Meltzer would say, Jericho slipped off the ropes twice late in the match, which took down what was actually a very good match up until that point. Jericho had his bell rung early when he did a plancher off the top rope into the gore, and it was feared he suffered a concussion. He was woozy, which likely caused problems later on, 2.25 stars.
I can believe that. Off of that,
whips his head back.
That gore off of the jump. Just I mentioned it earlier. The signs in the crowd for Stephanie. We have 3 signs in this match that you can see. Steph McJugs, and another one. Stephanie's breasts. SummerSlam MVP. Stephanie is 25 here. I was worried that she was younger.
No,
but that's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but 25 is better.
And Brian Alvarez would say, I believe Jericho suffered a head injury here, and it might have been a minor concussion. I say might because people said it was, but then he wrestled the next night on TV. And I can't for the life of me believe that WWF would put a guy with a minor concussion back into the ring the following evening. Aside from the slip-ups, a good match.
Does he know the company?
Yeah, I know. The Rock arrives, and he chats with William Regal, who says that he was rock bottom through the table on SmackDown. I think you'll find you were bookended through the table on SmackDown. He said the only thing the Booker's T's managed to do is piss the Rock off. But Regal, do you hear that? Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. Mr. Regal, do you feel that? Do you feel the electricity in the air? Mr. Regal, do you smell it? What is that smell? And what is that smell?
Well, so you're teeing up a different bit. Just before that, can you hear it, Rocky? Yes. Can you feel it? Rock then looks at William Regal's penis.
You feel the electricity in the air because you're standing right next to the next WCW champion.
Have I gone too
You
far?
might have gone too far there.
Yes, I can hear that quite clearly. Let The Rock ask you another question. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel the electricity?
Oh no, maybe it does come after.
You're standing right next to the next WCW champion. Yes, I can feel it, yes.
Is The Rock implying Regal can feel The Rock, so he has an erection?
I mean, wouldn't you? He's
electrifying. Not yet. Mummy too.
That's true. He's just finished filming The Scorpion King, though. Yes, but anyway, he asks, do you smell it? And that sets up a little recurring comedy segment for this.
I would literally call it a runner.
That's very good.
Smell what? Smell what the Rock.
It's very funny.
It's funny stuff. And what else are you going to do with Sean Stasiak?
I guess you are right. What else are you going to do with Sean Stasiak? The counter to that, of course, is, well, you don't want to have everyone on Team WCW be a comedy goofball.
They're not. Stone Cold is he's actually a comedy goofball as well at the moment. DDP's pretty serious.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's seriouser.
He is more serious than Sean Stasiak, I guess.
Yeah. The WCW guys aren't the main event WCW guys. They were destined to fail from the start. They're just comedy goofballs now.
Yeah. Up next for Jeff Hardy's WWF Hardcore Championship.
When did that happen?
On the Raw before. He pinned RVD when he was wrestling Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Jeff Hardy's Hardcore Championship is on the line in the first ever hardcore ladder match.
Yeah, bit redundant. Ladder matches are hardcore by their essence.
It makes me wonder if you had say Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon from WrestleMania in a ladder match. If Shawn used a chair, would that be a DQ?
Yeah, I would hope so. Or if they used a different kind of ladder other than the ladder you can reach a title with.
Maybe. But anyway, it's Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam. I loved this match.
Until the end.
It is a little bit of a whiff kick. But that's the beauty of Rob Van Dam.
Well, but I think the InVasion one, excellent match. One of the best matches of the year. He hits everything he has to largely. So even the more botchy things, there's an energy to them. It feels chaotic. It's good. And that's the same for this match. It's not a smooth match. It's Jeff Hardy as well as Rob Van Dam.
That's going to take on two of them out there.
They're throwing themselves everywhere. They're being innovative, which is a nice way of saying sloppy sometimes. But they've got this bonkers idea, which, my God, if they made it work, would have been the best finish.
It would have been. We'll get to it when we get to it. But this is an absolute car wreck, almost from the get-go, and I love it, because there's a moment where Jeff absolutely clatters into Rob Van Dam as he's carrying the ladder back to the ring. And Rob Van Dam's already limping, he's already selling that he's limping. And then he leaps over the barricade to seesaw the ladder into Jeff. Then Jeff launches himself over the ropes to seesaw the ladder into Rob.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant storytelling. You just mentioned Ramon and Shawn and how that was all based around, well, what would a match with ladders actually be? You'd wrestle over the ladder. The ladder would be the most important thing. They're telling the early story of getting the ladder into the ring, and they're stopping each other from getting it through the ropes. Yeah. If that was a modern wrestling match, one of them would have already got in the ring, set it up, done a move off of it.
Yeah, there'd have been 5 ladders.
Yeah, there would have been multiple ladders by that point. But it is taking so much sort of jockeying and different moves for one of them to get power over the ladder just to get it in on the canvas.
There's a moment during this when Rob does a coast-to-coast rolling thunder. And it's great, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we joked on this show quite a lot. Be like, why do you do a little twirl before you do a move? And you would say...
the talk.
It's talk. It's an old Colt Cabana mentality on the art of wrestling. It was like, why would you do a twirl? Momentum. It gives you momentum. It adds talk to it. And that's a funny thing to say. But genuinely watching him do that coast-to-coast rolling thunder, I'm like, that did actually give him much more momentum. It did feel more impactful.
Maybe not more momentum than just running and kicking.
I don't know, but I felt it gave him more momentum.
I like, because it actually started out the first minute or so was quite technical. It was just them both telling the audience, we can wrestle too.
Yeah.
And the audience were into it. Jeff does Rob Van Dam's Torn early.
Yeah.
It just, from the very first move, well, from the very first note of RVD's entrance music, everyone in this arena is waiting for something special.
There's a moment on the Go Home episode of Raw. You know when Austin's doing his little town hall thing, leading by example. He's asking for, who should face Kurt Angle in the main event? I think they were expecting Rob Van Dam chants to start, and there's a little bit of a smattering of them, hugely helped by Paul Heyman jumping on the announce table and loudly shouting, Rob Van Dam, Rob Van Dam.
That's good old Paul. For the not sloppiness, but sort of uncontrolled chaos. Mm-hmm. Watch this dive from Jeff onto Rob. All of his knee goes onto the announce table. Oh! But what did you think was going to happen?
You should have expected it, really.
I can't say that's a botch.
No.
Because surely that's what he planned.
Yeah, it's just he got more distance than I think he was probably expecting. Heyman gives a shout out to Sabu as RVD does a slingshot leg drop onto Jeff while he's onto a ladder. I think it was for that, not just the fact that he tries 10 moves and fucks up 8 of them. Jeff drop kicks the ladder into RVD, or drop kicks RVD off the ladder. DDT and a swanton, but Jeff misses that. RVD misses the 5-star. Both men are selling the fatigue and damage, and then we get this superplex off the ladder, which is this wild bump. And then
it's the sort of thing that you always see teased, but rarely hit.
And then we get the finish as definitely giving a little shout out to Sabu of messing up one of the more important spots of a match.
So Jeff has climbed the ladder. Rob has removed the ladder. And we've seen TLC 1 last year. We've seen TLC 2 with the spear off the ladder a couple of months ago. What are they going to do to top it? Well, Rob Van Dam is swinging Jeff, and he's going to jump off the top rope and hit him. And then Jeff... Oh, it's such a horrible...
It's actually worse. Jeff's bump is so much worse than if Rob had managed to hit that kick.
So... do you think he was ever going to get that?
No! And I can tell you why. Because what happens is he goes underneath him.
Yeah, so Rob is on the top
he
rope here.
He also leaps without looking, which doesn't help. He's
so
far underneath him that even if Jeff was in the right position, he still would have missed.
He doesn't get much height.
Which is surprising for Rob.
Yeah. I would expect him, but even if he got a level of height, he would just be kicking his shins.
Yeah, because what he's trying to do there is try and kick him in the midsection.
Is Jeff meant to let go?
No.
At the moment RVD spins round and he kicks him in the face?
No, I think this is supposed to be like the Edge. This is meant to be the new version of Edge's spear at TLC.
Well, he should have propped up the ladder in the corner then. Gone a bit higher, although the physics wouldn't work. The ladder would flip over.
Yeah, and also what he wants to do is do it in one fluid motion. The idea is to swing him, jump up, jump and kick. Mm-hmm. He just gets nowhere on it. And it's funny because Jericho slips on that top rope in the match previous.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he doesn't get that height there because of the slippiness. But even then, he's not reaching him.
No.
He's significantly higher than where Rob would have been even if he got a good jump.
Exactly. So this is a match that's filled with a lot of crazy stunts, which means Dave and Brian not hugely into a lot of this. Dave would write, match had all the high-risk stuff because of what it has been being compared with, and the fact that they've done far too many ladder matches this year, it didn't accomplish with what it set out to do with Van Dam. The first several minutes was almost an ECW-style match, where they set up spots and it looked like a connect-the-dots match as opposed to a wrestling match. After the match, Jim Ross said it might be the last ladder match. Isn't this the 5th ladder match on TV this year from the WWF? It needs a rest. It's on its way to being like a cage match in the Battle Royal. Events that were one automatic sellout, done and bastardized to death, where today they are totally useless. Plus, doing the ladder spots necessary to get the match over are legitimately dangerous in a company whose injury rate is already out of control. 3.5 stars.
Can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a bit like trying to stop the tide.
Yes.
It's a ladder match.
Yeah, and a standard has been set now for what ladder matches are. And like, I'll be honest, if you'd have done, say, the Shawn and Razor ladder match from WrestleMania, if you'd have done that in 2001, it'd have been booed out of the building.
Yeah.
Because it's not got that crazy. And even like when you look at the Jericho-Benoit ladder match from WrestleMania, from Royal Rumble 01, that had the walls of Jericho on top of the ladder, so it felt like it had that wild ladder spot. Brian would say, this match broke down into a traditional RVD pay-per-view match, which is spot after crazy spot with little rhyme or reason. And he'd been on such a streak.
Yeah, it's awesome, Brian.
And he'd been on such a streak of good matches since coming to the WWF. Van Dam did various flip-de-doos that impressed the easily impressed masses. They were totally killing each other about halfway through. Thank God nobody was injured here. Ross made a comment about how we might have seen our last ladder match. At this point, I hope so, at least for a very long time. 3.25 stars.
I think they've got the baggage of the last two TLC matches in that paragraph.
Yeah.
Which were way more dangerous. I didn't really see this and go, this was a super dangerous match.
No, not compared to TLC 2 in particular. Shane is hyping up Booker T
did
backstage.
we say RVD won?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, RVD wins. Shane hypes up Booker T backstage, and he gives him a present. And the presents are bookends. Actual bookends made from the table that was broken on SmackDown.
Booker seems genuinely touched by this, and Shane... I haven't got the timestamp. Booker's like, oh, thank you so much. And Shane goes, for all your books. Like, Booker T is this learned man. That's why he's called Booker.
That's why he's called Booker.
They said it before, I'll say it again. These two have a genuine connection. These two could have been a really fun heel or face act.
Yeah. Booker dedicates the match to Shane McMahon, which Shane seems genuinely touched by.
Yeah, they really, really actually like each other.
Taker and Kane walk backstage, which means, up next, in a cage match, it's title versus title, a title unification match, if you will, which actually I don't think will unify the titles.
I've written here, because I was talking about how great Booker and Shane are together. They've got such a connection. They have way more chemistry than Taker and his own wife, Sarah.
It is the Brothers of Destruction, the WCW Tag Team Champions, taking on DDP and Kanyon, the WWF Tag Team Champions. Now, on our King of the Ring episode, we were trying to figure out, what is DDP's deal with Sarah? And I said, he's obsessed with her. He's in love with Sarah. And you said, no, it's a mind games thing. He doesn't really like Sarah. He's just doing this to get into the head of The Undertaker.
Yeah, DDP on that first pay-per-view, it's King of the Ring where he's sitting in the crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a ticket.
Yeah, he's got a ticket. He just said, Undertaker, it's your yard, you're the big dog or whatever. I'm coming to take on the biggest guy here.
Yeah.
And to get there, I'm getting in your head by going after your wife.
But yet, by this point here, I think it is he's just in love with Sarah.
No, it's still mind games. It's really deep, deep mind games.
He's got the Helga shrine to Sarah, and Taker arrives at the building, and Kane's backstage in the match being like, he's built some sort of shrine to Sarah.
It sucked whenever Kane spoke. If he had to say more than one word, fine, say one word, do a silent Bob reveal thing. Don't make Kane act.
Where have you been, Undertaker? They got some kind of shrine to Sarah in the backstage area.
He just speaks like a normal bloke.
He's a bloke.
He would have beaten up DDP earlier because of the shrine. And then, that's that recap package. Then we get Taker's ADR'd music when he does the entrance.
It's not got the roll-in entrance on this one, I'm afraid.
But he does, in reality, this is a re-edit.
Yeah, this is a. You can tell it's a re-edit as well because it just doesn't sound like it's in the arena.
And sounds like there's crowd noise, which weirdly for Undertaker, there is not much crowd noise.
No, well, he is over. I don't think we can't deny that he is over.
He is over when he does his poses, but then the crowd and everyone is super awkward about the actual whatever this match is.
This match is it's a mess. I did laugh though when as Kanyon and DDP are making their entrance, Heyman says, DDP and Kanyon might be the greatest tag team champions in the WWF's history. And JR says, you can't mean that.
I don't think the match had much heat. But I think that I was trying to think of when it was more quiet on this show, and it's when Lance is working over Edge.
Yeah. So here's the match. DDP and Kanyon bump around for them. Taker runs wild, although he hasn't actually stopped yet. And then DDP and Kanyon land one move and try to escape. Taker and Kane immediately get back up.
Taker the double sit-up spot.
Taker gets DDP back into the ring and he lands right on his knob. And he tells his brother Kane to let Kanyon go. Kanyon leaves and he runs away. Taker has the match won, but he lifts up DDP's shoulders. Then he goes for a chokeslam. He tells DDP to leave. Psych, he pulls him back in, hits him with the last ride, and he pins him.
Oh, it's so crap.
It's such a squash match.
I actually feel like Taker and Kane are aware very early on this isn't going well. I haven't got a timestamp, but I wonder if I can see it because they're doing their stuff. And look, this is if you put it wide. Okay, that bit sounds louder.
I was going to say, it sounds like he did a pose.
It's when Taker, yeah, okay. That is the moment that he's like, this isn't getting the reaction I want. Because it's just them beating. It's just this noise. It's people talking amongst each other. And it's only when he starts doing this that the crowd get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts running the ropes and hitting these big clotheslines on DDP stuck in the opposite ropes. And then he does the pose.
Yeah.
Before that, the crowd sound like they can't see what's happening because of the cage.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because it's a crap match.
It's a crap match. There's no heat for DDP and Kanyon. And I love Kanyon, and they clearly like him as well because he's a comedy goofball. Oh, better than Kanyon. But they are not over as tag champions. They only won because Test helped them win.
Yeah.
DDP has been a joke since day one, since coming into the WWF, and this feud is the longest feud in the. We've been doing this since like the first episode. We've been talking about this bloody feud.
Yeah, in a time period where major storylines change from Raw to SmackDown, how is this the one that's still going on?
And this isn't even the end of it. We get another match the next night on Raw that really is like the final pin in this feud here, because after this, the Brothers of Destruction will be going on to their next feud with Chronic.
Oh, I wonder how that goes.
Oh, well, I've watched it on Worst Match Ever. I get to watch it again.
Is it better than this match?
Good cue. It's longer, and so it is worse. Dave would say, Kane had a herniated disc in his lower back, so he's limited in what he can do and shouldn't bump. Taker, well, he just doesn't sell. 1 star.
It's so that we haven't really spoken about the bit when Taker says, "Get your ass out of here, and I'll let you live," to DDP.
Yeah, which means he doesn't give a shit about either being the WWF Tag Team Champions or the WCW Tag Team Champions.
And it's like, okay, well, as soon as he said it, I was like, well, it's going to be a fake out. DDP's going to climb away, Taker will drag him down, whatever. But everyone was confused. The crowd, like, what a stupid idea to do in this kind of match.
Yeah.
Maybe it would work if there was some interaction with Sarah through the cage, or if DDP and Kanyon got a little bit of offense on them, or maybe Kane was the one who escaped or was thrown out last second and it isolates Taker.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Taker and Kane would ever want to win by climbing over because they would think that's a coward's way to win, even though it's a weirdly WWF rule. Brian Alvarez would say Undertaker and Kane destroyed them, selling virtually nothing. Crowd were dead silent within about a minute. WWF have totally dug themselves into a hole because Undertaker and Kane are booked as being so dominant that the fans don't see anyone as a threat to them. Thus, no one cares about their matches. How do you get heat or sympathy on two babyfaces that never sell? An utter burial. If I never see another Kane and Undertaker match, I swear to you I won't shed a single tear. Dud.
Yeah. I mean, it's that bad. And then at the end, Sarah gets into the cage, points angrily at DDP. Like, when will this feud be done? When will you have had your vengeance, Sarah and Taker? I feel like you lay out DDP definitively every other week.
Apart from last week when Taker hit Sarah.
Why can't DDP and Sarah gang up against Taker?
So the following night, speaking of them getting one up over DDP every time and every turn, the following night on Raw, Sarah pinned DDP in a singles match. The Hardcore Truth, Bob Holly's book, writes about this. At least we got Booker T, but he was really the only star who came across. Diamond Dallas Page was a pretty big star in WCW, and he came over too, but he wasn't as big of a deal as he thought he was. Don't get me wrong, DDP was a good worker. He had star potential, and he could have been a lot bigger in the WWF than he ended up being, but he screwed the pooch himself on that deal. He was so particular about his matches that it pissed everyone off. He would sit down and write out the whole match in great detail, 3 to 4 pages of writing. He would actually write things like, we circle each other to the left, and we lock up, I take your arm, I'll punch you, you'll sell my punches, and grimace. He would actually write facial expressions in his match plans. It was unbelievable. He even tried to dictate what Taker should do in the ring at one point. That's why he ended up on TV getting pinned by Taker's wife. Unless you are Vince, you don't tell Taker what to do. Ever.
It's a total clash of cultures. Well, it's DDP is essentially a guy who works to a script, and he's going into a free jazz musician and saying, well, here's the notes you have to play. Here's exactly how you play them.
Really funny as well. In Bob Holly's book, he tells an anecdote about how he had a match with DDP, where DDP is very particular about his matches, and Bob knew, that's what he's going to be like. And Benoit went up to him, finding out he was going to have a match with him, and said, good luck with that. And so Bob purposefully avoided DDP for the whole day. And so DDP found him and was like, oh, hey, I've got the match laid out. Should we go over it? And Bob was like, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Then spent the rest of the day avoiding him and did everything he could to make until they found him in Gorilla just before they went out. He says DDP came up to me and he was sweating buckets like, bro, I don't know what we're going to do about this match. And so Bob forced him to go out there and call the match as a shoot rather than go over his detailed plan. What's interesting about that anecdote is on Kurt Angle's podcast, he tells that same story, but it's Benoit that did it.
Well, Benoit avoided.
Yeah. So I don't know if it really is Bob's story or it's somebody else's story that's been concocted, or if it's just a myth about an old wives' tale about what happened with DDP on that night when no one could find him, or he couldn't find the person he was wrestling, and no one really knows who the story is actually attributed to.
Well, they all did it every week, and I guess the joke's on the audience because then we didn't get as good a match as we could have.
The Rock tells the Doctor he's totally fine. That attack that Booker T did to me, nothing, didn't hurt me at all.
Yeah, no need to have that in the psychology of the match later.
Stasiak tries to run in again. The Rock dodges.
It's brilliant.
It
is very, very funny.
Somehow just as funny the second time.
I can't complain about that.
Speaking of not being able to complain, apart from the finish, for the WWF Championship, Steve Austin defends against Kurt Angle. And again, it's Drowning Pool's bodies, but with like a music video element. And it's rad. Yeah,
you sort of show Austin's reign of fear in the alliance. He's on top now. He's the motivational speaker. But then he keeps turning on people who he doesn't think are doing good enough.
Yeah.
A little bit Bully Ray in Aces and Eights, I thought. Shout out another series we've done.
Because in that Town Hall segment, he has to go at Taz. And this is actually going to start a bit of a mini feud between Austin and Taz that will pretty much last until the end of the invasion, where Taz is unconvinced that Steve's the right leader for the alliance.
So using bodies for this recap video package, I love it because it's such a great song. Do not mind hearing it twice. But what other times have you had the theme of the pay-per-view used within the pay-per-view for a video package?
WrestleMania, I guess. X7.
Do they use Is My Way the theme?
My Way's the theme, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's like when you watch a movie, and back then, in old movies, the bespoke song would just play on the end credits.
Yes.
But then if it played in the movie itself, you'd be like, what? That doesn't belong here yet.
Yeah, a little music video in the middle of your movie. This match is so good.
It's so intense.
Yeah, it really is. Like, they brawl on so Austin makes his entrance, and then, the two of them are just staring at each other. And they just start brawling in the aisleway. It's so good. Like, the suplexes by Angle are amazing. And then Austin, very early on, hits this desperation stunner. He's the only thing he can do to stop this momentum of Kurt Angle. And Austin argues with the referee, and he hits another stunner on Angle, but Angle falls to the outside. Angle then gets sent into the post, and he gets busted open.
This is a long period where Austin keeps throwing Angle into the ring post, and then Austin will walk away with the referee, shout at the referee, blah, blah, blah. And it's to cover Angle blading and cutting his forehead open. I can only assume, because they did that quite a few times, that Austin kept going back and going, no, not deep enough.
Get some more colour.
Let's do it again.
You're a baby face now.
And he comes out eventually totally covered in blood.
Yeah.
Like Ric Flair level blood.
I wonder if to that point, it's because what they're playing off here a little bit, and I think they could have done this right into the finish as well, is they're playing off WrestleMania and the Bret Austin match. And Austin passing out. Because JR even has the call at the end of the match. Angle never quit. He never tapped out.
Yeah.
Which is what he says about Austin at WrestleMania in the Bret match. And Austin, the big iconic image of that is Austin with that crimson mask. So if Angle's only bleeding a little bit, he's like, you got to get more color. If this is going to work, you need to get some more color.
Yeah, he ends up ramming him into that ring post 5 times.
Yeah.
Which sort of goes over the rule of 3. But just to add to that intensity again, Kurt's blood, just the Austin taking his time, dismantling Kurt's body on the outside. We've spoken a lot up and down this pay-per-view of people working over other people and it getting quite boring. This match is mostly Austin working over Angle. It is never uninteresting.
No, it's
not. Is totally riveting.
See what helps is the commentary. Because JR, both JR and Heyman are talking about whether or not this match needs to be stopped. Even JR, who desperately wants to see the WWF title return back home, is like, I think we should be stopping this match. The referee needs to be having a serious think about whether he should call this match off, because Angle is in deep trouble here. Angle creates a little bit of separation by pushing Austin over the barricade, but he gets up and he grabs him and slams him over the barricade. And as Austin is getting over, Angle grabs him in the ankle lock. He just like snaps in a moment, just grabs him by the ankle lock. It's an amazing visual.
And he sort of drags Steve up the steel steps in the ankle lock into the ring. Gets it on in the ring as well. And I don't know what's happened to Kurt's blood. It's so shiny. He's got shiny blood here, so it's reflecting off of all the lights. The visual's incredible.
Overhead belly to belly on the floor. Angle goes for a moonsault, and he hits it.
When the hell does that happen?
Right here is when it happens. And Austin, in his moment of desperation, goes for the $1 million dream.
He gets the old Cobra clutch on. From his ringmaster, and JR calls it. He's like, this is desperation right here.
And then again, more of those Bret shoutouts. They do the Bret spots where like Angle runs up the ropes and flips over to get the pin, but Austin kicks out. Angle gets him to the floor. Oh, he does the 3-arm spot there off the $1 million dream. Stunner, but Angle kicks out. The crowd are going ballistic for this.
It's a very weak kick out off that stunner. And Austin just stands up, hands on hips.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's kind of scared. He's furious, but he's also just puzzled.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't know what to do next.
Yeah.
The $1 million dream didn't work. The stunners aren't working. Angle reverses a stunner, hits the angle slam. Austin kicks out. Austin, clearly, then in his moment of frustration, just decks the referee.
Yeah, Heyman has this excellent call when he says, Austin sold his soul for that belt. Do you know what it's going to take to get it away from him?
Austin decks the referee. DDT, another ref runs down, but Austin kicks out. Low blow by Steve. Stunner to the second referee. He gets the title belt. Tim White runs in, the third referee. Austin decks him with the title belt.
Tim White, the guy who at the friendly tap just 5 weeks ago was the bartender that Austin, really needed to hear those words of wisdom from.
Angle gets the visual pin. But tricky Nick Patrick runs down. He goes for the count, stops, and he DQs Steve Austin. Angle wins, but Austin retains.
It is actually a really smart finish because Austin should be DQ'd.
Yes. Logically, it does make sense.
And
it works because it's Nick Patrick.
Yeah. but I don't think it should have been done on SummerSlam.
I don't think so either. And I think this match would have worked even better if Angle had just passed out.
Yeah. Fully do the Mania 13.
Put on the ankle lock. Maybe even Austin does the sharpshooter, which I suppose you can't do because Rock's going to do the sharpshooter in the next match. But like, just do like put the $1 Million Dream back on, and Angle passes out, and you can do Angle never gave up. He never submitted, and that's how you get him over. Because like, I mean, this isn't the plan, but he's going to win the title at the next pay-per-view. But Dave would say, super match with a bad finish. Angle had Austin pinned after the slam when Nick Patrick ran in and instead of counting the fall, disqualified Austin for attacking the previous refs. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman were going crazy trying to put this match over and make the finish into a heat finish instead of a grown DQ finish. Unfortunately, they put the heat on the referee instead of Austin. 4.5 stars.
Wow. See, it's still with that finish, 4.5 stars. It's an excellent match. One of the best ones we've reviewed in this series
I would
by
agree.
far, yeah.
Brian Alvarez would say horrible finish to an otherwise awesome match. I think the idea was to not hurt Angle, but keep the belt on Austin. My feeling in that is if Angle had put up an awesome fight, kicked out of all those stunners, but finally got caught and beaten in the end, he'd have still come out of it strong as hell, and maybe even stronger. Remember, Austin turned the corner on Superstardom in his WrestleMania match with Bret Hart. There you go. And that was a match Austin lost. Finish took this down a notch, but otherwise it was fantastic. 4.5 stars.
Yeah, you could have. You're right. Angle got enough visual pins there and enough kickouts and stuff to protect him.
Kurt Angle on this match said on his podcast, "This is as good of a main event as it can be, other than that finish. Other than that, you can't get much better than this. Stone Cold and I were on that night. Vince was hugging us. He was like, 'That was awesome. Thank you so much, guys.' That's when you know you did something special, is when Vince gets up and he's really excited. Vince was very excited about this match. He saw money." But Angle, like on his show, was like, "Oh yeah, the finish sucked. The finish is terrible." But yeah, great match. And that brings us to the main event for the WCW Championship. Booker T, Shane McMahon, one of the two, is defending against the most important person in this room, The Rock.
We get the recap video package where we have Rock coming back, choosing WWF, who in the blue hell are you, all that stuff that we've covered already. They do present Booker more seriously in this video package.
I think it's too little too late.
It is. And at the end, JR says, Rock is going to be at SummerSlam, and by God, he's coming for Booker T's ass. You get it, Rock.
Do you smell it? Do you feel it? Rock chases after Shane, and that allows Booker to get the heat. I say heat. This crowd are really excited to see The Rock do his entrance. Yeah. This crowd are excited to see The Rock do his signature moves. This crowd are not into Booker T working over The Rock. It's not even that long of a match. It's only about, 13 minutes maybe? And the majority of it is Booker T working him over to such little crowd reaction.
Yeah, this is where it really exposes the WWF template as being outdated by this point. Worked on the other matches, but the other matches were 5-7 minutes.
Yeah.
We've just had an excellent Angle Austin match. This has a very tough job at following it. It should have main evented Angle Austin, but because of the finish, it didn't do. The story of this match isn't so much that Booker T's working over The Rock. And I think they know that. You're right. The Rock very early. This is seconds into the start of the match. The Rock goes for Shane.
Yeah.
And watch. The
cameraman shits himself.
The cameraman falls over. But that's to establish very early on what the story is.
Yeah.
It's The Rock versus Shane and Booker.
Yeah, it is. Rock gets in the sharpshooter. By the way, I've skipped about 12 minutes of this match here, this 30-minute match. Rock gets the sharpshooter, but Shane gets on the apron. That allows Booker to get a 2 count. Shane puts in a chair, which Booker goes for, and that distracts the referee. But Shane runs in and hits Rock with the world title. And then the APA come out and clothesline the absolute shit out of Kendall on the floor here.
Yeah.
Bookend, which JR says is The Rock's rock bottom. No, it's not. It is his finish. Rock kicks out. People's elbow, The Rock has it won, but Shane hits the referee. Rock bottom to Shane on the floor. Scissors kick, he does the spinner Rooney. Rock no-sells the finish, kips up, hits the Rock bottom, and he wins.
I do think that is a nice finish to this match where Booker T hits the spinneroonie, stands up, turns around into a rock bottom end. Because it was kind of, who is the most electrifying man? Who has the most electrifying move? The people's elbow or the spinneroonie? So nice finish there. A bit like, when John Cena and The Rock went against each other.
Yeah.
And what was the finish of that first one? Does
But when
Cena turn into the...
Yeah, Cena goes for the people's elbow.
and he runs into the rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I like that. But really, everything he said, it just... Booker T not only hasn't been presented well enough for this level, I don't think he's good enough to have this, to main event at SummerSlam.
No, and that's the thing, he's not. The Rock is. Like, the title's not main eventing. Shane's barely main event. This is just The Rock. The Rock is selling this pay-per-view here. Dave would write here, for some reason, Ross mentioned that WWF was ahead 4-2 going into this match, which WWF also won. So WWF won 5-2. I'm not sure that's a point you should be putting over at this time. These guys worked hard and had a good match. Of course, all the classic Rock stuff was over like crazy since he's been by far and away the star of this show. But as a match, these guys couldn't follow the previous one 3 stars, which I think is generous.
I think it probably is 3 stars. But maybe if you put it main event standards, it falls short of 3 stars. The Rock's act just feels a bit tributey.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I was talking to Dan Layton about this just yesterday because he's listening to this podcast along with us and then texting me about it to be like, here are all the things I would have said if I was on the show, which I adore. And we were talking about it. I feel like Austin's clearly got his eye on going. Well, not like going. It's not working for him at the moment. And I think if Austin had, say, babyface, he would have just picked that ball up sooner and gone home. But if, like, a lot of this time, it feels like by the time you get to the end of this year, he's just looking at the ball in the corner of the room, waiting to go home. And The Rock's also got this one eye on the door just to go. Yeah. And like these 2 guys who at the start of this year were going to be your 1 and 1A. And by the end of this year, both of them are pretty much out the door.
Yeah. As we read in The Rock's children's book, Hollywood came a-knocking.
Hollywood came a-knocking and he had to go. Brian Alvarez would say, a good finish to a good match, 3.5 stars.
One of the things that irks me as well is just the referee rules. Charles Robinson is obviously officiating this match because it's a WCW World Heavyweight title match. But he is no longer an evil referee. Only Nick Patrick is a bad referee. That's the problem with having rudo referees. Yeah. It really makes more questions than it provides answers and solutions.
So The Rock tweeted a fan once who asked him, like, do you have any regrets about wrestling? And he replied to it saying he wished he'd done more matches with Booker T. That was his thing. Because actually they didn't do a lot of matches together. And Booker talked about this on his podcast. He said, him saying that he wished our feud would have lasted a whole lot longer, that's reality. It should have. I feel like it could have been a 6-month or 1-year marriage with The Rock if done properly.
I think that's gone too much the other way there, Book. Are you forgetting how you were booked in this feud?
I don't know how good it would have been, though. For me, working with The Rock, it would have gotten better the more times we worked. I don't remember working any house shows with The Rock. That's a rarity. We never got that chance to work house shows. And that's true. They actually didn't do any house show stuff together either. They had 5 singles matches together, all of which were on TV or pay-per-view. And outside of this SummerSlam one, none of them go over 6 minutes. So there's not a lot of time here. But he does say of this match. That's a match I don't think I've ever looked at. The Rock and I never got a chance to become friends, laugh with each other, break bread with each other. I always thought that he was, I wouldn't say untouchable, but he was a WWE guy. For me, coming in from WCW, I gave him that respect because he deserves it. I do think over time our chemistry would have been uncanny and we would have had that match that I could look back on and say, that's the match. I don't remember a match or a moment that I can look back on and say, that was my WWE moment as far as in-ring goes because I became a total entertainer. And that's SummerSlam. But I can tell you this, a very different Raw show that came the night after, the day after SummerSlam, did around 6.7 million viewers. So it is down.
It's down, yeah.
Because it's now going up against football season, unfortunately. The show peaked in the overrun when Angle did the spoof of the Austin beer truck, using the milk truck to spray the Alliance.
That's the milk truck Angle episode.
Yep. First part of the 23-minute-long segment with Austin and the Alliance going on forever did a 5.21, barely ahead of the show average. It's only because of the overrun that added stuff in.
Yeah.
This was not a typical ratings pattern, as the show had its highest full quarter early for the segment with Rock versus Mini Booker with a 5.50. Even though the segment bombed live, there is a tradition about skits that bomb. Like for Dave often writes sentences with long brackets in the middle where he's just like, oh, and here's a fun fact about Roddy Piper or something, which actually really breaks up the sentence and makes it very hard to read. Likely for curiosity, doing good ratings and then follow with an audience drops. Ratings drop, although not to bad levels, losing 373,000 viewers for the 12 match, although it was more of an exceedingly high quarter for Rock. Rock's match with Storm did a 5.31. So for the second week in a row, Rock's segment building up a match did better than the match itself, something that almost never happens. After Rock's second appearance, another drop came about 389,000 viewers for Tajiri versus Booker and Sarah versus Diamond Dallas Page before picking up again for the final angle. The show did stronger among teenagers and weaker amongst everyone else. And the live Smackdown, remember that was going to turn ratings around?
Oh, yeah. Now that we don't spoil all the results.
Slightly up. From the 4.2, it is now doing a 4.32.
Oh.
Considering all the hype going into the show as the season opener, as well as it being live, well, going live even at the first time novelty proved to mean even less than we could have expected. And believe me, we didn't expect it to mean much.
Yeah.
So the buy rates for this show, which we talked about
earlier on.
Indeed.
So InVasion did a mega number.
Indeed.
One of the biggest, the biggest non-WrestleMania number ever, correct?
So we'll go through. So Rumble 01 did 625,000 buys. No Way Out did 590,000 buys. WrestleMania, 1 million, 1.04 buys. Backlash, 375,000. That's the real crash down to earth.
That's Taker on top.
Going against Taker on top. Then it is Judgment Day, 405,000 buys. King of the Ring, 445,000 buys.
It's creeping up again.
InVasion, 775,000 buys.
So that's more than Rumble by 100,000, is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And then for this one, SummerSlam, 570,000 buys. So it's actually lower than No Way Out 2001.
Look, but what is it year on year?
That's what I was about to tell you now.
Because wrestling is really cyclical, right? It's very hard for us as well to compare things month on month, because January to March, April will always be so much higher than the rest of the year, even if the rest of the year is really good.
So SummerSlam 98, 700,000 buys.
Cool.
SummerSlam 99, 600,000 buys. SummerSlam 2000, 570,000 buys. SummerSlam 2001, 570,000 buys.
I'd call that a win.
I don't think it is. This is the return of The Rock.
Yeah. But 2000 is its hottest year ever.
It is. I suppose it is a bit of a pickup. I think they would have thought this was going to be a bigger number. And I think actually there are reports that will come out saying they were hoping for a bigger number. This is seen as a bit of a disappointment. It's The Rock's first match back since WrestleMania. He's just come off the back of being a Hollywood star. The ratings were huge when he came in and have dipped off over the last few weeks. And I don't think there's buy rate, but I think the booking reflects that.
Yeah, it should have been, if you wanted that big number, book him against Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. That's what they should have done. That's why he challenged Austin. What did you make of SummerSlam 2001?
You know what? I think before we went through it again, I was a bit down on it because I hated the Angle Austin finish and I hated the Taker match and the main event was just blur. But actually, everything else on the rest of the card was pretty decent.
I really like this.
Yeah. Show. Like even the undercard bits.
I think this is better than InVasion.
Yeah, from top to bottom, it's better than InVasion, yeah.
I think it's better than King of the Ring. King of the Ring had that awesome Shane Angle match, but the King of the Ring matches were totally fine. And the main event is a weird cluster. It has that terrible finish. I think this is better than King of the Ring.
Yeah, you might be right. I just really love the night-long story of Angle in King of the Ring.
I take that point.
But a better show than I give it credit for.
Yeah.
Mainly just because that Angle Austin match is terrific. And the Rob Van Dam Hardy match is terrific. It's just those finishes.
Yeah. Makes me excited to watch the next pay-per-view, which is to me a very different flavor of pay-per-view because we are in a post-9/11 world.
Yeah.
But it's got Austin and Angle again, which I'm really excited about. It's Shane and Booker versus The Rock, I think. I'm trying to think where else is on that show off the top of my head. I think that's the one with Taker and Kane versus Chronic Unforgiven.
So our next episode,
2001.
of course, you can go to patreon.com/WrestleTalk right now and watch the previous episode to this, which is the July 30th episode of Raw. That's the comeback of The Rock. But then the next episode on Patreon is going to be our review of the September 13th, 2001 Smackdown.
Yeah, it is the Smackdown after 9/11.
The first public gathering since 9/11. And then it's Unforgiven 2001.
So you can expect on that show the Dudley Boys versus Big Show and Spike versus the Hurricane and Lance Storm versus the Hardy Boys for the WWF Tag Team Champions, which means they do get separated from being unified. We've got Raven versus Perry Saturn, Edge versus Christian for the Intercontinental Championship.
So that heel turns happened.
Brothers Destruction versus Chronic. RVD versus Chris Jericho for the Hardcore Championship. The Rocker versus Booker T and Shane. Rhino versus Tajiri. And Kurt Angle versus Steve Austin in the main event. Yeah, and I haven't watched it in ages.
No.
So I'm really excited to see it. And that'll be on the next public episode. But as Ollie teed up there, next month it'll be our review of the 9/11 Smackdown show. Until then, hope you enjoyed this run. Let us know in the comments, what's your favorite moment of the invasion? What did you think of this pay-per-view? We'll see you next month. Jam that jam.